Hello, 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 and welcome to Time to Chat. Now we have, welcome to FBLbroadcasting, part of the Canadian Corporation. I'll throw that in. But we had a little bit of a tense time, didn't we, Adam?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's obviously I've got a real good tech company out here. I just can't even turn my phone on. I don't use Safari. I'm like, what's Safari? You use Safari? I didn't know Safari's still going. Nevertheless, I've had an email off Bill Gates saying thank you very much for using Safari and Bing as well in the future. So should be okay.
As far as Apple, but yeah, Bing is the one, isn't it? It's very,
they're all corrupted now, aren't they?
There is a thing with tech. They keep on changing stuff. So the problem we just had, people, just so that you know out there, is when you go into Safari, for instance, it does a search instead of you going straight to a web page, which is obviously what I asked Adam to do. Adam or Charlie? How should we call this? Do you see it's Adam?
Well, it's been Charlie since I've been about, I don't know, quite young, sort of, because the surname's Chaplin. Okay, so it's an easy nickname. So the only people that used to call me Adam was my mother when I was in trouble, obviously, and I got the full Adam Christopher Chaplin, and teachers at school.
All right, okay.
So, but everyone, I get introduced by a third party as Adam, and you're like, hi, Adam, Charlie, Adam, Charlie. So Charlie's fine.
Charlie, all right. I'll probably call you Adam, and then sometimes call you Charlie. I don't know. Depends if you're in trouble, I think.
Okay, well,
right. Just let everybody else know that you can comment. We can bring you on the show if you want. So that's what the whole idea of this Time to Talk sort of show is all about. And which one to work out today is cryptocurrencies. Now, Adam, Charlie, whatever, you are, I think the best thing to do is I want to talk about your company as one thing, because I've been looking through it all. But first of all, for people like me, I know a little bit. Explain to us what cryptocurrency is.
Right, this is going to be really try and stay awake, people at home. All right,
all right, let's do it. You got 1 minute to do it.
Right. No, what it is it can be wealth that can be stored irrefutably and recorded on a blockchain. So it's a program.
Whoa! Yeah. Stop. See, that's where it gets confusing. Explain blockchain.
Right, blockchain is the program it runs on. I think this is where cryptocurrency falls down. Did you ever book a holiday before in the past? Remember when you were supposed to go on holiday? Remember those days? Did you ever book one?
Yeah, I did until they started putting these vaccination crap in there. But there we go.
Yeah, fair enough. And the same here. Did you, when you booked the holiday, ask them what program they were running, HTML or whatever on Booking.com?
No, of course you didn't.
And this is the problem people have got with cryptocurrency. You don't have to be an expert in the programming to understand how the markets work. And they intermingle those in such a way, like a doctor would or a specialist, to make them sound more important and more qualified, and therefore give you a bigger bill. Yeah,
they overcomplicate it, don't they?
Yeah, because and the government's been very clever, because ultimately, cryptocurrency is coming in one way or the other, whether we build it or they build it or it's built together. That's why it's called a net and a web. So it's coming, right? And effectively, the market is a test bed for hackers, for what can be made secure. Blah, 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 blah. But it's not a very interesting subject, is it? And they have to spend years developing it. So cryptocurrency is the perfect accounting system. So the people that are on there thinking they're running away from the accountant have just missed the point completely.
See, right? This is interesting, because our mutual friend Slapheed, before he left to come, so you're in Vietnam, by the way, people. So Adam's in Vietnam.
Hanoi, Vietnam.
Hanoi. So I told him, don't be silly. It doesn't mean you can get away with it. You're easily tracked. That's why cash is king. Cash can't be traced, but you can be traced no matter what you do on the net. You can be traced, and if you think that you can't, you're an idiot.
No. There's a big thing in cryptocurrency, and I got involved years ago. The revolution, yeah. Because the idea of the cryptocurrency is quite pure. We all know that the system that we're using now with printing paper is going to fall to pieces either tomorrow or in 10 years' time. It's going to go, right?
Fiat currency, really.
That's fiat currency is going to go. And it's going to have to be another system in place for sure. Now, just like the BBC banning Frankie Goes to Hollywood Relax, the
wow. Mary Whitehouse.
For instance, just by banning stuff, straight away it becomes appealing to the young people. So there's been a whole plan around this. It's been a very young movement. I agree with you, cash is king, and there are different cryptos that can do things like that. But the bottom line is, there's governments own the roads, if you will. You know, the internet. Hutchinson, BP. You know, did you see the thing in Canada recently? The trucker protests?
Yeah.
Well, Trudeau went in and turned off the funding sites, turned off the crypto You know, so that you one click away, their will, whether they want to turn it on and off. And the whole idea with cryptocurrency is it is a good idea. It has to be regulated in the end. It isn't the way to hide all your money. All right.
Yeah.
Without regulation, even the best people in the world will go astray, because when people are in charge of huge amounts of money, it's a test of character, you know.
Yeah.
So there has to be regulation. But cryptocurrency is a way of transferring or holding wealth on a computer program, for want of a better word, right? And that's all blockchain is, right? So if I bought a car off you and you look like a lovely fella, right? I might come along and he looks quite reasonable. The house looks reasonable. But I look at the car and it just looks like it's a bit older than you're saying, yeah? And the clock says, I can pull out the logbook, but of course, you know, that can be changed, can't it? Yeah. And often is, right? If we're honest. Well, if it's been recorded properly on a blockchain, you can't change it. It's irrefutable. We can't go back and change it. It's on millions of other people's data areas.
So there's like a ledger, isn't there, on all these other?
It's a perfect ledger that you can't mess around with.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of it. So it stops people. It stops people. No. If you input the data wrong, like anything, like any model, yeah. So if you've got a corrupt person putting the data onto that chain, then yes, of course. But as a recording process, it will record exactly what it's told to record. But there will always be, despite what anybody says, a human element. And when there's a human element and there's a lot of money involved, only 1 in 100, you know, most people are good, but one slips off and away they go. And that goes with lottery sites, that goes with all sorts. But you know, cryptocurrency is, I hope we build it. I like it. When I got involved in the beginning, I was very passionate about it. But I've sort of got
how long have you been involved?
Well, around it sort of 10 years, but really heavily in the last sort of 6 or 7. Right. But I've got one foot in each camp at the moment, because I'm thinking we're sort of the Matrix. We're sort of building our own utopia. We're building ourselves into this net and into this web, you know, and that the blockchain chain can record anything you do, how much you walk, breathe, sit down, you know, it can record everything perfectly. You know, you'll literally have a stamp on you. I'll be, you know, Charlie Chaplin, fat bloke, likes to go to the pub on a Sunday. Everything will be in your virtual bubble, and you can't change it. So, yes, if you're an honest person, yes, if all governments are honest, but there are a few flaws in the system for sure.
Right. Okay. I think there's it can be traced no matter what, and it can be changed. That's what, you know, these super duper. Again, a retraction from what I said a little bit earlier, that, you know, all the information is there. If you don't, you know, you can always be tracked, unless you are a good programmer or hacker or whatever. You can get away with it. There is a way of obviously getting away.
No. I was speaking to a guy. One of my party who owns Notional. He does a lot of the tech fixes for the blockchains that go wrong and speeds them up. So he's very technical. Great night out, you know, but a really technical guy.
Yeah.
And I was saying, look, with the invention of all these things like Pegasus. Have you heard of Pegasus?
No, I haven't. Well,
in Israel, they've invented a program that all they have to do is know what your phone number is, and they're in to every single thing you've got.
Wow.
You don't have to press anything, nothing. That's it. And they're selling these programs, the Israelis, Israelis or Americans, whatever you want to call it, are selling these programs to governments with data packages on.
Okay.
So there is no such thing. Before, we thought the safe circuits were going through the service providers, at least. Well, that's definitely not going to happen. So I said to him, well, how do I secure it? Totally secure it. And he's just gone, there's nothing in the world that can be totally secure on that, because you don't own the highways. And if you don't own the highways, you don't make the rules.
It's like your TV has a camera. Like some modern TVs have cameras on them. They can be accessed, just like your camera on your phone can be accessed, and your webcam. Everything can be accessed if it's connected to the net. It's quite simple.
Well, did you see that it's sort of when Facebook, for those that thought it actually was
a little bit from crypto, but go on.
no, but it's all interconnected to why it's involved. And what I'm trying to do is with the decentralized finance, early on with the holidays, is get the goodness out of it, link it up with the good stuff. And although I may be shaking the hand of the lion, if you will, at least we have a say in what's going on in there. If we all just capitulate, let governments do central currency, you know what's going to happen. It's just going to be like fiat, but recorded everywhere. You know, and they'll try and get cash out. Cash will never die. Unless they can get this over the line in such a way that they literally strangled everyone.
Oh, they will. So before we move on, let's bring up your company information. How about that first?
Okay.
Let's do a little bit of advertising for. Is it D5 for you?
There's a few of them. Right, that's Defi for you.
Yep. Okay. Explain what that is.
So
first of all, you're a millionaire, aren't you, Adam? You're a millionaire. You've decided to do, or multi-millionaire, whatever. You've built this. You're in Vietnam, and you're trying to. You've got links into the UK because obviously you're from United Kingdom, aren't you? So what you're building here is actually quite interesting, and this is what I want to show people. I love what you're doing here. So go ahead, do yourself.
Right. So here, we do problem solution. I was back in the UK for a while, 2006 to 2008. And my friend owns bankruptcy.co.uk, which is the biggest bankruptcy insolvency practitioners site on the internet. And I'd go and see him. Obviously, he's a very well qualified guy. And we're looking at the subprime mortgages. This is 2006. This was. We were looking at the unsecured loans for.
I used to work for Lehman Brothers.
Well, there you go. Okay, so I'm looking at this 2006. I'm looking across the table at him, thinking, this is just not sustainable. We were called stupid for 2 years, right? And then obviously, subprime went, and that was the end of that.
Can I give you a little in-depth to there from my past experience?
Yeah, sure.
So when I was working at Lehman's, or Southern Pacific Mortgages, as it was called back then, the guy from Barclays came in and explained about their overdraft facility. And I'm a nice guy. I like to make people cups of tea. I don't like to make people. I make people cups of tea. You know, he's a guy who checks all the paperwork. So I was having a chat with him and everything. So I was like, do you want a cup of tea? He was always in our office or our office sector. You know, whenever I went down, he's somebody who comes in and disappears quite quietly, So I asked him one day what was he doing, and I built up a rapport with him. And then I said, can you just explain what this is? Because I'm running the mortgage system. I'm programming the mortgage system. Yeah? So I'm trying to work out how he ties into all this. And then he explains to me in layman terms, basically, he explained to me in quite detail, but I'm going to put it quite simple like this. By the end of our conversation, I said to him, so what you're telling me is you're getting this batch of say 500 accounts, putting a little ribbon around it, and you're calling it treble A, rating, and which is the best. And he went, yes. I said, but it's the best of the worst credit out there. So these people can't get a normal mortgage or a loan. They come to the subprime sector, and you're selling this on the stock market as a bond. And he went, usually takes managers months to work that one out. Extraordinary. I said to him, I didn't know that's how it was done. He goes, and then the bond gets sold on. So so that was
so then came that massive financial crash that was basically absorbed, and they didn't fix. They just put a big plaster over it. Yeah, so literally people have been left holding this dike for like the last sort of 14 years. What's about to happen is biblical. Now, 2 years ago, I'm not trying to be doom and gloomy. If people don't understand it, it's okay, cool. You can call me. So there's going to be a biblical change in our futures very shortly. And if you haven't secured your wealth in something a bit more than a bit of paper under your mattress, you're in trouble. Yeah, because there's a big change of wealth. But anyway, so when this crash comes, which I thought was going to happen about 2 years ago with COVID, I thought it was going to turn it over. We looked at the bankruptcy stuff again because although it's a very negative word, when people punch bankruptcy into a search engine, they're pretty much a low ebb. Their head's gone. Maybe they lost the wife, the business is gone, they're drinking too much, whatever. When that word goes into a search engine, there's desperation. So we had a very compassionate team dealing with that. And I thought, well, it's going to happen again this time, but it's actually going to be much worse for a lot of countries. So how do we get to the people and help them sustain themselves, or at least give them a chance? And how do you get to people and give them a way of actually looking after their own finances? And that's what DeFi was for. Now, DeFi stands for decentralized finance. Yeah. But I like DeFi. Yeah, well, DeFi, it sort of comes across like DeFi is the ticker for decentralized finance. That's what it's meant to be. Now, as far as I can see, out of all these so-called decentralized finance, they've all built a central system in. So they're all desperately connected to either Morgan Stanley or whoever the powerful wannabe, the powerful overlords. They're all connected to those. So there's nothing decentralized about it. If you're going to go to a bank when you need money and there is a recession on and they have been told to stop giving money out, you ain't getting any.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Right? So yeah, go on.
So we know that, but a lot of small and medium-sized businesses have got a lot of, I don't know, air conditioning units or cars outside or collateral, but not in cash. So the idea was
they have a lot of assets,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
asset, yeah, the banks won't loan against. Okay,
That's correct.
Now, if you look at the word porn, all right, porn, PAWN. Although I've looked at the other sites to make sure we're not on them. But if you look at the porn industry,
is that what you tell the wife?
It sort of had a.
It's work, darling. It's work. That's what it is. Been on there for an hour. I know.
It's the porn industry, sort of, as in the gold and silver and stuff, has had a bad image because you see that porn stars and the sort of dodgy people behind the counter with their little monocle, trying to rip you off or buying your Rolex watch, or whatever. But if you look at the rules of porn, it's been self-governing for a long time. It's it's really fair, and you can do it to other people. Yeah, and you can help other people out through a system. And I thought, well, if I'm a business owner, medium-sized business, rather than go bankrupt, I'll spin the dice again. I'll put my air conditioners in or whatever. All right. I'll get some cash flow back for now because the next 18 months is going to be critical, let's say. And then I can make a decision there whether to become insolvent or not. Because ultimately, that person is going to become insolvent if you don't step in. And the banks are going to close out. The banks are closing out small and medium-sized businesses. So that's what we invented it for. Yeah, that was the idea of it. So you could go on, meet somebody online, do a deal with them. It gets recorded. It's all legal. Everybody's happy. So really, peer-to-peer lending. Yeah. Okay. The reason we've got you did ask me. The reason we've got gold on there at the moment is, I could be wrong, but I'm not. I'm very rarely wrong. I did the dot-com boom and bust. We did the 2008 subprime flop, and we're about to do the overprinting recession, because it's only acting as paper. So when it goes, there will be the things of wealth will be things that you have, like a car, or if you actually own gold, for instance. Yeah. Now, you can go on there. You can buy gold. It's vaulted for you. You keep the NFT. It's not just a picture of a monk.
What's an NFT?
And it's a program that's been raised exactly. So you bought 100 grams worth of gold, for instance. That gets vaulted in the UK. Yeah. It's called a non-fungible token, but it's just a program that gets put into the UK.
Non-fundable, is that, or
non-fungible?
Fungible. What's fungible?
Yeah, it's them using the big words again to try and confuse you.
You are. That's why I'm here, trying to help the people out, because I'm an idiot and I don't understand these words.
So basically, if people have got any money left, any collateral at the moment, they can go on and buy gold, have it vaulted for them, so they've got security issues, make 10% guaranteed if they keep it for a year, and if they need it beforehand, they can loan against it. So it's what we call a real world NFT, because I know the gold price doesn't move much anymore, but it's going to, for sure. But if the worst came to the worst, and you had $100 in gold, you'd have 100, and that $100 is now $400 in 10 years' time. It doesn't matter. It's held its wealth. If you're holding in fiat and you haven't got enough money just to leave it there, then you're in trouble.
So if I can quickly interject or interrupt, let me just bring us in here quickly to the people here. So a fiat currency, which is sterling, dollar, what else have we got? Yen. Doesn't matter about what currency, it's a fiat. So it's pretend. And the government, especially at the moment, I'm going to change my words here. The people's government. Let me rephrase, and I keep on using that. I'm not going to use the government.
You must be referring to Vietnam. You can't be referring to the UK, surely.
Well, no, the government. People keep on saying the government. I'm trying to turn people away from this idea that the government is the people's government. The people's they're in there, they're elected, and they're there to protect, and they're not. They're taking nice little backhanders. But anyway, I know that's going to get me into trouble. Even just saying that.
No. I'm putting down my temper. That it's not like they're taking nice little backhanders. I've got tech companies, right? If the British government would have come to me and said, "Look, I'll give you $1 billion, for instance. Can you do the track and trace app for me?" I could have done it for them and built it for them, operational within within about 2 weeks to 4 weeks max. And I could have, for sure, given them back $999 million.
Yeah, honestly,
so the corruption is just off the scale.
I worked in the NHS. After working at Lehman's, I worked in the NHS. I've never seen money wasted as much in my life. I was disgusted, and I swear. And there's loads of other stuff I'm looking into as well. But so the fiat currencies. Let's quickly go back to that. So basically, what they're doing is it's called quantitative easing. They started to use it a few years ago, and then they've let it fade out. So that's what they're doing. So you think the price of your product, so for instance, i.e. a pen, was £1 a year ago, and now it's £5. It's because they've actually pumped so much money in, fake money, basically, or monopoly money, if you want to use the phrase, because that's what monopoly is all about, actually. You pump all this money in, so that's why that's worth a £5, because it's still only actually worth £1, But the amount of money, so let's just say it was gold, 1 gold bar, it cost this. It will take you more fiat currency to buy that gold bar, or buy this for that 1 gold bar. So that's how, when people start talking about fiat currency, the reason I'm going into this is because this will all come into some of the conversation we got coming in a little bit later. I know obviously you're busy, so we'll try not to take up
No,
too much.
I like this. I'm enjoying this because I've had to sit and watch. Remember, I was in the Marines, so I was private school, whatever. Joined the Marines. You know, I was very much structured in my thinking. I got to 26, and one day I literally woke up and went, "Oh shit!"
Pardon the phrase.
This isn't what was said. Sorry, I'm in Vietnam. There's no control over me. I've sort of gone, oh God, all we are is bouncers for a very corrupt government, you know. And when that went in my head, that was the end of that, you know.
Yeah.
And since then, I'm not saying I'm rebellious, but I just have no trust in governments at all. UK government is gone.
Again, trust in people. I mean, people. The biggest thing I get from people when I try and explain. I had a very interesting conversation down the pub on Saturday night. I was playing a game of poker, and I was saying to a guy, I might look at going into, I had a few beers. Played well at poker, made some cash, or fiat currency, shall we say? So him and his mates I was talking about the way the world is. Obviously, the more I drank, the more I probably can't remember. To be the point. But the crux of it all was, I was saying to him, like, I'll give you what I've just won, and I'll have your vote if I ever go for council or MP. And he wouldn't take it. He wouldn't go. But I could buy the guy's hat, which I did, by the way, and I gave him all the cash in my wallet. And I was like, there you go, and I bought it. And it was one of those sort of things. It was probably better I did that, because if I was having a fair few drinks, I probably would have just spent the money on drink anyway. So at least I've got an asset, which is the hat. But what was interesting is people will not give up their vote so easily. Yeah. Now, if I offered him £1 million, I'm sure he would have. But what was interesting about the whole conversation was how he was like, well, I don't know your principles. I don't know you this. I don't know you that. But I've interviewed many MPs or potential MPs, councillors and stuff like that. And what I find really interesting is I interviewed MP Greg Smith. I took 3 hours of his time and I interviewed him, and I thank him for that. But after I basically said the government, or the people in the government, the cabinet, killed loads of old people because of the way that they act. No more conversation after that. He will not even return a hello text message. There you go. But the only point is he thinks that, because later on he would have
let you wear a dress and interview him, no problem with lipstick, right?
Yeah, that's
worn a dress, lipstick, cavorting around in your room, no problem, right? But don't ask me about the people we killed, please. Don't. That's not on. Not cricket.
But this is the point people don't seem to understand, or they turn a blind eye at. Like, for instance, MPs. Oh well, they're MPs anyway. That's no reason. They're there to represent the constituents. That's a word I really have problems with. Yeah, they're there to represent and do what's good, but they're not. They signed away and they gave away tyranny. And again, that's something I keep on saying I've got to do. I keep on getting sidelined with other stuff, but I think we're still in tyranny in the UK. I don't think it's.
Oh, you think? You think?
Yeah. No.
Watching it from the outside is painful.
I mean,
I probably get a better view on it than you do, because I can watch it from the outside.
Yeah.
I'm almost a gag with it.
Yeah.
They even talk about it in terms of their money, and it's their country. They don't even use "I'm representing you" anymore. They don't hear it.
No, they don't.
You don't even hear that softer.
Well, you wait till election time, then they'll be kissing all the babies. You know what I mean? It's just
well, that it's not that you get older and more cynical. You just get more educated, right? So if you're 18 and you're at university, of course you want to be liberal, you want to share and socialist. That's the way of the world. And as you grow up and you change your thinking, then you maybe go conservative, maybe go liberal. But everybody should start off as a socialist, right? But where this has all gone horribly wrong is that, and where I wanted, and I was so happy that we didn't go into the EU, though I don't actually believe we're out of it, is that we should be able to, if we have anybody in charge of us, if they don't behave in a way that's becoming to the job, like ignoring us and spending all the money on other stuff and nicking loads of money, let's say the UK Parliament, right, then we can vote them out. And my fear of going into Europe was it wouldn't matter what our government did, because you got faceless bureaucrats making decisions, right? So I was very happy with that. The reality is they've just done it anyway. Yeah, they've just taken the power. All those, the Magna Carta, all those years, First World War, Second World War, people you know, when I grew up, it wasn't like, you know, I grew up in a North Wales village. There was plenty of, you know, if you like, poverty then. Good people, but poverty. It wasn't easy, you know, white privilege. We've grown up, people have fought for these rights. Bang! And what we got? We were being told, you know, that we should all dress in pink, you know, go down the rugby club with Steve and have a night out with Steve and Joanna. But it's lunacy to watch. It's so hard to watch it from here because it's like you're sort of expecting somebody to stand up and go in any party and go, right, stop. Okay, stop. Just get off the bus a minute. Right, shake it out. Right, I'm back on the bus. But it's an agenda that's been played out in America. It's been played out in Canada. It's not it's really hard for people to accept this, though, right? It's not something that's just happening in Canada or the UK or America. This is coordinated at the highest levels. And in order to accept the fact it's happening, you must understand that maybe your government isn't as quite on your side as you thought. How's that?
Oh, yeah, funny that. But this is the point. You know, you look at these people going into these positions, and you can see that, you know, in their eye, the color of money is everything. So, and people can be corrupt quite easily. But, you know, again, show somebody power, it shows you the true what they are anyway. But
that's why, good link there for me. That's why we're doing decentralized finance, because if we're helping each other out, it can't ever grow. One person can't grow too big. And as one person grows,
let's go quickly. Where's it gone? There we go. Add it in. There we go. So here's your site. So this is what you're building, or you've built. So this is where you can buy gold, isn't it? And buy in.
That's just one of the features. Yeah, that's like
one of the features. But here is the loans against your NFT, isn't it? This is the This is the bit you're talking about where you can use your assets to borrow money.
You can have NFT. You can have an NFT. I mean, there's different NFTs have different values, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, in my humble opinion, it's only mine if you're listening, crypto warriors, right? Having a picture that's worth £30,000 that was printed 2 weeks ago on a digital computer and put into a blockchain is not a good idea, in my humble opinion. There will be certain pictures like Banksy or whatever that go online that will have a great innate value, but generally NFTs are far too overvalued. We knew that, but there are plenty of good ones. So if you've got an NFT and you've got one that's got a secure value on it, and you don't want to sell it because we're in a bear market, for instance, you can then put it in and get a loan against it. So instead of selling it, you can get a loan against it.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah. So you keep it. And that's what that's what all the people with real money do. They don't sell stuff. They loan against their shares. They leverage against their houses. They're not using their own money. Yeah. Banks don't allow us that privilege, right? We're not allowed that privilege by banks.
They loan against your money, don't they? That's
you've got to first prove you don't need a loan, and then you'll get one, right? Yeah. But they loan against. They use you as a pawn. That's where you get a free account. Be very aware. Be very scared of the word free in finance. It's always a precursor to you're going to get, bummed later on. So the idea is whether you've got a digital asset in a picture, which is what an NFT is, or you've got a digital asset, an NFT with silver or gold, is you can use that to secure your wealth, or you can use that to loan against or to borrow against, up to you. So everybody starts coming to community and opening shops up in certain areas. Now, this takes a long time and it's very dreamy, right? It's like, I've had this idea. I'm smoking too much pot. It's very dreamy, right? So ultimately, if people get on and use this, they can actually change the way that they are tied down by this ridiculous boom and bust every 10, 8, 14 years. Yeah. Because if we stay in this, if we don't change it, people go, well, it's not fair. I want more money. If you don't have a go at changing it, then it ain't going to change, right?
Well, again, was it 68% of the population just keeps on doing no matter what anyway? So
I know, yeah. I mean, but I'm with you on that, and you think, well, how's it ever going to change? If you really want to be sort of, and that's why in the end I've come full circle and gone, right, if I can't change it, I'd like to be at least involved in building it, so we know we can we're in the system. We're in the system at least.
Yeah, no, that's why I've checked out your site. I've looked at what's going on there. Like this request alone. I do like. So what people go into these jewelry or whatever, and they'll get their stuff marked up correctly with the value, or
if you've got a watch and you let's say jewelry is quite a harder one, so you'd have to go into one of the shops in the UK and have it certified there. But then it's available online. You can loan against it People can loan against you. They can borrow your NFT, and basically, it goes right back. Because it doesn't have to make it complicated. In years and years ago, when God was a boy, and we were probably at school in the 1500s, when the merchants used to go to from the UK on the boats to Spain to buy the spice, rather than carry the gold with them to give them that physical gold when they got there, which is incumbent, right? They would carry a paper note, but it was backed up by gold in the Bank of England, and that was permission, and that was an NFT, really.
Okay.
But it wasn't recorded.
Yeah.
So I've taken it right back to what we know works for us, because when the gold standard was changed in 1976 by Nixon, that's when it started to decay.
Because it was no longer backed by gold. That's why.
Yeah.
Correct. Right. Yes.
Yeah. And if you dare to not use the American petrodollar, then you know what happens as well. So if we can step away from this, if we can step away from this, then we can make the world a better place. There's always going to be corruption. I get that. I'm always cool with it, right? I'm always cool with it because I've lived in Asia for 25, 26, 27 years, and everyone goes on about Asia being corrupt. Well, Asia is corrupt, but it's what I call honestly corrupt.
Okay.
So you can pay your money to whoever you're paying it to. The contract is sorted out. It's quicker, it's fast, and things get done, and they stick to their word. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's honest corruption. In the UK, it's just a cesspit. I mean, to watch people do what they're doing, the interviews, I can't watch the interviews anymore. But nobody answers a question. Not one of them will answer one question.
Unless they come on my show. Which they won't.
But then it's when they never come back.
Exactly. Once they've been on there.
People, I mean, politicians aren't meant to be in charge of us. We're meant to be in charge of them. Exactly. Now, the Vietnamese system here works brilliantly. Yeah, you've got to go some to upset the Vietnamese. I've parked a few times where I shouldn't. I may have driven. I'm not condoning this. Driven home a couple of times after one or two more beers. It's like the national sport in Vietnam. Nobody does it sober. And just little things I've got away with, parking fines and so on and so forth. Now, in the UK, you can't breathe. Yeah, you can't license for this, parking fine for that, another fine for that.
99% of all crime is not against somebody; it's victimless crime.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's government.
It's horrendous. And you know that there's some stuff coming up in some other series. I've got some other people coming on in other weeks, but it's quite crazy that even the Buckingham County Council have their own sort of police officers now. These guys and girls who walk around and they can give out fines. And now I'm going to be looking into that. I've only just seen that come up. And it's like, no, the police give out the fines, but police are only supposed to be there. Police are only supposed to protect people and property, but they're working for the corporate. This is what it is. It's
the old police now.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
But I watched look, be as gay as you want. I was brought up by two women. Yeah, I had two mums, and that was 50 years ago. We were on national TV. We were at Chester Crown Court. Didn't do me any harm. I'm a lesbian too. But the bottom line is, I don't care what you are. Be what you want to be, right? Yeah. But please let me just get on with it, Yeah. And they don't in the UK. Everything's stopped and grabbed, and there's a problem. They try and make problems in the UK. They solve them here. You have a problem here, we solve it. In the UK, they have a problem. They amplify it.
No, what they like to do in the UK and the US and Australia.
I'm talking about politicians, by the way, not the people.
Yeah. No. Is they make a law, or they think they make a law. It's not really a law, but they start to do this thing like, let's lock you down. Well, that goes against your human rights anyway. And which I found really interesting during COVID was not one solicitor stood up, so to speak, and was like, "This is ridiculous. This can't happen."
Because, it's common law, Magna Carta. You can't do this. It's
but you find it really interesting. You didn't know about the new Magna Carta, did you?
No, but they haven't got it through yet, have they?
No, they haven't. But it's there. It's ready.
They've been forever trying to change the Magna Carta. People talk about the US has its rules and regulations, but the Magna Carta was the first documentation that actually sort of gave the people absolute power to run their own lives, right? That's in essence what it is. As long as they didn't incumbent upon other people, and they and since that, ever since it's been printed, they've tried to change it.
Oh, yeah. That's.
But this time, when they say they're going to change it now, I'm starting to worry that they actually are going to change it.
They are going to the new Magna Carta, where
You know, it's always been just hot air
go on
before.
about,
Now I'm like, wow.
You go on about Europe. Europe has a load of bureaucrats who are not voted in and who govern it all. We think we got the rights in Europe to do whatever, but you don't. It's just like a fake. Like, that's the reason we have the Commons. The Commons is for the commoners, and you've got the Lords. And then, but believe it or not, anything that gets passed through the Commons has to go through the Lords next, and the Lords can
so
say no.
It's blocked anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So this gets one of those great conversations. So we understand a little bit about crypto now. So we know it's an electronic sort of currency held in the ether of the wonderful world of the web. So how can that be the future? Well, obviously, the way that we work, we all use our cards up against Bing. Yes, I'll buy myself another pint. Oh no, I've got no money left. I've been refused.
There's already digital money. You're already using it.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about with the touching the card. We're getting moved into that direction anyway. So
just get moved into a direction where it's going to be recorded perfectly.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's all
that's
about
in essence what it is. You know,
and
that's.
This is all to do with what I'm going to bring up next, which I pointed you towards. You're having a cigarette. I want one now. Right.
Well, it's not my podcast. We're in Vietnam. You're allowed to smoke in Vietnam. You can smoke in Vietnam.
Well, you can smoke it here, but only in certain places.
In pubs.
Yeah. No, you can't smoke it. Well, that depends if you know the people in the pubs. Do a quick search, cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Did you ever look at that, by the way?
Yeah, I 2 years. He registered about. It was a two. He registered on before the pandemic, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, during the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it's very dodgy. It was a very dodgy thing to do. Yeah, and especially using this. What made me laugh? Not laugh, but what brought to the front. I was told about this a while ago. It's going to be done, and we said, well, he's not going to use 666, is he? Joking, right?
Yeah.
And he did. Because it goes a lot deeper than people know, obviously, and understand. But what he's in essence done is, right, he's making a grab to be in charge of the one world currency that the one world bank will want to come in, and Klaus Schwab in his special suit wants to come in. They want to have this currency in, which it will be great and very easy to use. However, if I say something like, do you know what, I think the Guy Fawkes, right, at a valid point, for instance, right? Yeah. Right. I did that once on my Facebook, joking. A few years ago, right? Guy Fawkes had a valid point, and it came from my Facebook, and I went back and it'd been taken down, like I never posted it.
Oh, really?
So I got a friend in the UK to post it on his Facebook, yeah, and he posted it. This is before anyone was looking at the algorithms and so on and so forth. He posted it, and he said to me, "No, I've got it on," and boom, it was taken off. So there's a lot of stuff on there that you think's been shadow banned, as we call it, that isn't. But the idea of this is from Mr. Gates. He's a lovely fellow, Mr. Gates, isn't he? He's making a grab to build a technology that will actually, from your jab, identify everybody directly to your phone. Yeah?
Well, now see, now look, you just made a massive jump there, Charlie. You really have. Let me quickly just jump in, people, with this. WO. What do you reckon that stands for? So yeah. So I've just noticed that, to be honest, the WA bit. This is what you're talking about, which I pointed you towards, which I found years ago, so to speak. Now, what you're talking about, you're talking about with these jabs that have been given out, which is the COVID jabs, which probably have this show taken down. Oh, that's what I meant to do. I forgot.
You can actually just use the word special incentive.
No, I use the real word. They can do what they want.
Okay. Because they are very on the algorithms on this. Probably been turned off now.
It probably well, now the algorithm's working very well. But see, now what you're saying is that the jabs. So what's going to be what's in the jabs then that would
Well, what's worrying for everybody who's got a brain is look, COVID comes out, okay, we don't know what it is. Apparently it's going to, you watch these things in China, people are just dropping dead on the street. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh man,
panicking.
Football players.
They actually pre-jab when they're selling the idea that COVID's going to kill everyone. You've got people in Wuhan eating that soup, whatever it started, dropping dead, and that's what we're doing. So they're making news, obviously. Luckily, every world leader got COVID and covered straight away because they had the jab. But when the jab came out, it was going to stop transmission, or it was going to make it less, you weren't going to get as sick on it. I don't know if you looked at the data. It's literally gone the other way. It's worse for you than not having it.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line.
I was interviewing the mayor, Aylesbury mayor, every other week, sort of thing, and I was showing the data doesn't make sense. And this is where I showed about people dying, and I publicly said straight away I will not have that jab, even before they even made it available.
And it's good to hear you say that, because even on television, a lot of people that are so-called, I don't know, fighting for freedom, they don't say that. Or they'll say, "Oh, I had the jab, but I agree that other people don't have to have it. I didn't have it. I'm not in it. My daughter didn't have it." Do your research and you'll find out why. And in between that, you can call me whatever you want to call me. So what's happening? So what comes into mind is, well, what is in that jab that they are so desperate for you to have it? Because if you think the governments are so concerned about your welfare and the dying rate, then they're not. Hence the elderly people in the UK. So they want you to so much actually sort of going back at school in the UK. Didn't do any of that here. You were asked directly. The Vietnamese government were very strong about it. They were very good about it. They wouldn't consider doing that. The parents would be in uproar. They even said, if you don't have the jab, you don't have to have the jab. Yeah.
Okay.
Up to you.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Now, in our Western societies, Canada, America, UK, they're not just desperate. It's ridiculous. There's no case for it. You've got to have it. So what's in that jab? Well, there's something in there that's going to definitely be a marker. So each person that's had that jab, there'll be a marker to an electronic device in the future, for sure. And then it doesn't matter then which device you use, because you're marked to a device or any device you go on. They know who you are. So it's changing something in your DNA there, for sure, that's going to allow them to track you wherever you are. Hence the Starlight satellites going up, hence hundreds of thousands of satellites going up. The net's going up. The net is going up. The web, whatever you want to call it. All right, it's going up there. It's not. This isn't conspiracy. They're putting them up. They want to have internet for everybody in the world, even the poor Africans who've been starving to death the last 100 years. Nobody gave a shit about, but now they're getting free internet. So you've got to look at you've got to look at their thinking for this. So there's a mark. We don't know. There's something in there that will connect you to any device. So when you've had the jab, you've changed your DNA slightly. Everybody's DNA has a marker. It doesn't matter which device you connect to. So I say to you, look, I want to move some currency around, but I don't want anybody to know. Just open a wallet on your device, and we'll do that. Boof, it's me. I'm there. They know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they think it is. But it's definitely sinister, because ultimately, all the buying of all the things that are going on around us, buying of the farmland, the breaking down of the family unit, a very, very, very exciting but very frightening time. And for Bill Gates to register that with WO and 666 on says a lot.
It does, doesn't
deeper
it?
than that, but it's not about COVID. This
you're breaking up a little bit, but just so I can explain to the people, what this is actually saying is that your body, so for instance, Adam's going to pay me to paint the fence just out the back there. He's going to give me 1 Bitcoin. And this is where cryptocurrency comes in. Okay. So what it will do is it will log me, FBL Smiler will use up X amount of energy at this location. It will actually watch where I go. It'll actually log it all along there. It won't take the Bitcoin from Adam or Charlie just yet. You're not in my bad book, so I won't call you Adam, I'll call you Charlie. So once I go to the fence and then I paint it, which it will tick the boxes basically on in the computer program and say he's used up this amount of energy. It takes, let's just say it takes 5 hours to paint the fence, especially me because I'm really slow. Yeah. And then I've used up this amount of energy. Yes.
Not bad for 1 Bitcoin, though.
What? Well, I don't mind getting paid $40,000 to paint the fence for 5 hours. I'll pay for it. So Charlie, if you want to do that, I don't mind. So, but the point is that it needs to be, let's just say, within you for it to work. So how would you possibly get, the 1 Bitcoin then gets transferred automatically from Charlie's account or Adam's account into my account because I've completed the job. It does it all automatically. And that's what this is all about here. Now, the biggest question is, how do you do it? How do you put, what would you say the word is? Nanobots?
Well, it's like it.
Oh, we lost you.
Yeah. No, it's what. Give me an example. I was in the military a long time ago. Many kilos of raw marine. We were using, frontline troops. We were using the best technology at the time. We were using Javelin then. which is being used in the Ukraine now. Yeah.
Javelin.
So that was 30 years ago. That technology was there.
Okay.
The technology you're being shown in public is nowhere near what they've developed. Not even close.
Can I quickly jump to something to throw into the chaos? As people say to me, Martin, what the hell are you talking about? So I'd like people to do a little search. Boris Johnson, 2019 United Nations speech. So this is just before COVID
started.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the interesting part. So I'm going to again, people, if you're watching this on the replay, they might make me edit it out on YouTube, but don't worry, it'll be on FBL Streams Live.
Okay.
Because I was sorting out your tech problem, I forgot to kick off FBL Streams Live, my other site, my website.
Oh, that's blame me. That's it. Very busy.
Yeah. But again, it's my own fault. That's my own stupidity because I was too busy watching something else. But anyway, as well as helping you. But I'm just going to quickly go back to 826. This is quite an interesting bit. Right. Listen to this.
By Stephenson's rocket, and there are today people who are...
Can you hear that? Yeah. Can you hear that? Are you still there? Oh,
still actually anti-science. A whole movement called the anti-vaxxers, who refuse to acknowledge the evidence that vaccinations have eradicated smallpox, and who, by their prejudices, are actually endangering the very children they want to protect. And
it's a very interesting thing he states there, which is right. Okay, look at the way sanitation's come into the areas.
Oh.
That's what that's really what eradicates this sort of stuff. But vaccinations, they haven't even isolated a virus, especially COVID. It's proven.
No, it's not a vaccine. It can't be called a vaccine because it's not a vaccine. It's insane that the BBC and CNN are calling it a vaccine. At the very best, an experimental jab.
Exactly.
It isn't going too well, to be fair.
Yeah, but people, I will go into this in a minute, but I want to listen to this next bit. Okay, so remember what I said about nanobots. Okay, and I know you might be thinking, oh, whatever, you Muppet Smiler, what the hell are you talking about? But listen to this next bit.
Technology to serve as a liberator and to remake the world wondrously and benignly. Indeed, in countless respects, technology is already doing just that. Nanotechnology, I mentioned earlier, revolutionizing medicine by designing robots a fraction of the size of a red blood cell, capable of swimming through our bodies, dispensing medicine and attacking malignant cells like some Star Wars armada.
So there you have it. He's talking about nanobots. He said it himself. And I point this to people.
They do this, don't they?
Yeah.
They do this. They get some sort of a kick out of it. They warn you what's coming in black and white, stood up in front of everybody. And that goes for all the crazy. You
want me to tell you why?
Well, I daren't say it on here, but from the research I've done, it's quite demonic. It's not good.
Yes, it is. But it's the law of the sea.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
how
what it's part of what they do. It's part of their process.
Well, believe it or not, you've got to declare war. You must state it for it to be legal. Hence why, for instance, the IRA phoning up saying that a bomb was going to go off. It's an act of war, but it's classed as war if you let them know. That's why the Jolly Roger was flown, shown on at sea, because it was an act of war, and then they would attack. So they're giving you primal notice. Here you go. We're going to come and attack you. And this is what this is all about. This is what we're going to, and also lets the other people know exactly what's going on.
It's the people that you pay with your taxes to look after you. This is insanity, right?
But this is the point.
Really insanity. I mean, David Icke, right? Oh, David Icke, lizard lover, right? I struggle with the lizard thing because maybe that's just my block. I don't know, but I do struggle with the lizard thing. But he was going to Australia 2019, the end of, just before the pandemic broke, or what pandemic broke. And they absolutely refused him.
Oh,
I mean, he got because he was obviously going to talk about vaccines. Now, I'm not anti-vax, polio, They've been proven to work. They've been developed.
Whoa.
Well, no. Let me just go through this. Was my thinking before the AIDS epidemic?
I've had those injections, by the way. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, I've had them, but there's an awful lot been going on with vaccines for a lot longer than we've been told about. And there's been testing going on, a lot of testing in Africa, a lot in India. Bill Gates, thanks for that one, son. There's been a lot of testing going on, and it's, you know, if anybody's got any doubt that the system is rigged against us at the moment, then see who patented the coronavirus and what date they did that on.
Yeah.
End of story. There's no argument out of that. It's like it was patented before it came out in Wuhan.
Exactly. I mean, the money that goes through to Wuhan as well, but it all just gets ignored. It's all part of the same, you know, secret.
Well, no, I think Rand Paul, an American politician, made a valid point, bipartisan or whatever. He said, look, we're going to have to get to the bottom of this, because if we're funding laboratories all over the world to get a gain of function, so then to go from, let's say, bats and gain of function go into a human, for instance, right?
Yeah.
With a virus that's only got a 0.9.
Oh, we've lost you.
They're actually experimenting on stuff that's got like 80% kill rates in those laboratories. No, we're funding it.
Sorry, you're breaking up there.
Laboratories with 80% kill rates.
Charlie,
you know how secure they are.
Charlie.
So
you're breaking up. We've lost you
somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't think we like the fog on water. I think we.
Oh, knew we're going to lose him. Knew that was going to. You can tell we're tech. Well, maybe it's them stopping me from broadcasting. Who knows? Very interesting. Let us know in the comments, people. What do you think at the moment? I mean, obviously, you know, the crypto world, the way it's all going. Obviously, like we've got like Defi for you, which is a great little idea actually, where people can actually lend you money rather than the banks. So let us know in the comments. Is that something that you think? That's actually a better idea. Why does the bank have to take the ability or take it away from me to have money? So I'm sure Charlie's going to try and come back in a minute, by the way. I think he's totally gone now. But this is why is cryptocurrency the future? Here he is. He's back. We got you back.
Here I am.
Yeah. I was just quickly going on about how good Defi for you is, you know, what I see is the benefit there, and why is crypto going to be the future? Because, you know, when you look at, for instance, patent, you look at this, you look at all the information that's been put out there.
It's obscene to think that people can do this in broad daylight and nobody's screaming from our politicians should be screaming. I think when I grew up in the Maggie Thatcher years, and my mum was very conservative, but we were in a North Wales village, which was obviously massively Labour. I felt at that point actually that they were doing things to sort of, whether it's Conservative or Labour, fighting for the people as they saw it. Now, I just think, God, they can just do anything and nobody says anything, not a word. And if you do say a word, you just cut off because they own the platforms. And it's sort of like, well, how is it going to be done? How is this going to be done? Because we've got to say no to this. A resounding no to what they want to do, because we're literally stepping into a matrix now. Elon Musk, you've heard of him? He's quite a good guy.
Yeah.
Apparently, he came out against AI, artificial intelligence. Right. So that was the pitch, right? He's out against AI. The reality is he owns the company that's integrating the AI straight into the brain, not augmented reality selling glasses, straight into the brain. Yeah. Microsoft going in. They're going in. You get an implant at some point.
Yeah.
In between that, we're going to have augmented reality. But the bottom line is, all this technology around us, is not improving our lives anymore. It's improving their control over us, and that's when it has to stop, in my humble opinion. You know, and I can't even. Where do you go to? Who do you speak to?
It's disgusting that people. I mean, again, this whole cryptocurrency is all about social crediting, like they've got in China. They will literally be able, like somebody like me, will be turned off from being able to chat in society, be able to go to the pub, buy food, buy petrol, whatever, even though that's becoming a massive, financial burden, which they're making, especially with the war in the Ukraine. It's crazy.
Well, they don't need to turn you off because
your internet. We're losing you.
Well, they don't need to turn you off because today they don't have to turn you off because you just can't turn yourself on. You have to actually police yourself, and you signed yourself stopping from saying the things you want to say. Yeah. So you actually they've already got us going back into the box. You know, so they've achieved their aim. It all started. This whole thing started with PC 30 years ago. Yeah, we had to be politically correct. Yeah, we had to try and please everybody, push please nobody. But that's where it started. This isn't a new plan, but we're very close and it's going faster to endgame. If we're in a system where cryptocurrency is going to just do nothing but tell them everything about us, then wow, you know, we've built our own dystopia, haven't we? Really. So that's why we're building the things like DeFi and the other ways of using crypto. But you know, we might as well hold the hand of the biggest guy in the playground because we're going to get punched otherwise. So we're trying the best that we can do. What's really heartbreaking is that a lot of people that got involved with crypto sort of came in with the revolution. I'm not talking about guns and rifles. The revolution against fiat currency. Now, nobody in England, or very few people in England, get taught how the pound works.
That's true.
They don't know.
That's lots of people, though.
Because it's pound sterling, and we can trust in pound sterling, and blah 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 blah. Now, in Vietnam, for instance, I think it was 1998, they had hyperinflation. So everything that was in the bank turned into like just nothing, right? So you had $100 in there, it was worth less than $1, you know? It melted. So the Vietnamese don't trust it, and rightly so. So they invest, they buy land, or they buy a tea shop, or they put their money into businesses, or to land, or to property. They don't mess around leaving loads and loads in the bank, which is great, okay? Which is brilliant, and that's the way systems work. So in Vietnam, they've got a system that works really well for the people, with a government that you feel like are on our side. Yeah, I feel like the Vietnamese government are on the side of the people, not on the side of the one world order. And they're the same issues of crypto because they know what's coming as well. A lot of the Vietnamese, they know this hyperinflation will just destroy a lot of currencies, and people don't see it till it's too late. Of course, that's the trouble. Now, if this is all brought in over the next 10 years and everybody's linked up, that's the end of our control. Because I'm afraid, no matter how high your morals are, if you've got a family and you've got some kids and they're going to turn off your money, you've got to play the game.
Yeah. Once you've got somebody's weak spot, you've got them. And usually it's kids. It's without a doubt. Now, I was at COP26, and this is my biggest fear. When I was at COP26, I couldn't believe. So 3 months prior, I was literally in front of the police with their batons ready to beat the hell out of me. And thank goodness to a conversation I had with Alan Robinson, who went for police complaints commissioner. I actually grabbed a tannoy and said, you know, put down your weapons, basically, and you're here to protect people and property, not to be the army of the government. Yeah. So whether or not it was what I said on that tannoy, I don't know, but they did within about 30 seconds lower their truncheons. Again, I'm not saying it was what I said. It could have been anything, whatever. But I was so angry. I was so appalled by the way they were trying to suppress our rights to freedom. But when I got to COP26,
and rightly so, absolutely rightly so. But I mean, the trouble is, if you've got knowledge in front of the mainstream media narrative, so you're looking at things away from the mainstream media. You know, I don't have to be a neurologist to understand that a brain surgeon says to me, "I've got a tumor." Do I? I don't have to be a neurologist to understand that. Okay, so you can get a lot of understanding of what's really happening behind those doors of power, and why these politicians that you think are very inept and very stupid aren't.
Oh no, they're not.
Very coordinated. They know exactly what they're doing. There is a new world order plan going in. If you think this is just by accident, then you need to do some research on it. But if you so much as mention it, big YouTubers like Russell
Brand, yeah.
Russell Brand.
No,
he's great.
He's great. He is great.
He's a brilliant YouTuber. He's very eloquent. He's got great things to say, but he just doesn't commit. It annoys me. Yeah,
he doesn't commit.
He can't commit because he's going to close the channel down. What do you think?
Yeah,
I haven't got an opinion. Because he can't. He can't. Because we said what I said tonight. Like, I think the stuff doesn't work. He'd be closed down. So how do you do it? How do you get back from this situation? It's pretty hard because we're already into a corner.
A lot of people, especially like
I don't know what the answer is.
They gather information from people. They get them to follow them on Patreon or it's about getting email addresses now, but emails also can get stopped as well. But I just got to go back to this, with the police, with the truncheon. So that's like 3 months prior. So I then go to COP26. All right. And there's police all over the place, all on the outside. As soon as I get in, not one police officer, not one, Her Majesty's police constables are there. It's only United Nations police. They got guns.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yes. So
wow.
If you're up with doublespeak, so doublespeak is what you think you're reading is actually the opposite. So the UN climate change is actually unclimate change.
Yeah.
Right. So I've walked in and I had a very eerie feeling when I was at COP26. I honestly, it was like, when you get that feeling of being watched, as well as I need to watch my back because there's something eerie about this whole thing. I watched as corporations in governments and in countries put their hand out saying, we want your money, like as in the people's money. All right. And yet now I had a word with the guy from Scientists Warning Europe, and I said to him, the biggest problem I have with all of this is they're going to push electricity up, which means the old people, the people who are on the bread line, won't be able to afford to even eat or heat their food, because that's the way it is. So when we give a grant to these big multinational or electrical gas companies, what gives them the right to charge an extra 50% and then another 50% later on? They should be giving us a discount. How dare they? Honestly, they are there asking for money. Like, please, sir, can I have some
from
more?
the people that fund their companies, it's ridiculous. But it's the
These are private organisations.
How can I put this?
These are private organisations.
I know. I'm going to go for it. And the police are sitting outside.
Billions.
I mean,
from
the EU started. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the EU started innocuously.
All right, explain.
Trillions. The EU started because we had the borders in Europe and they had the refrigeration trucks, and holding up to get the correct documentation to get the different ports was causing refrigeration problems and massive transport problems. So the EU got together, and that's how it started to improve the trade moving across the borders. Great, no problem. That's what they signed into. Well, that's what they thought they signed into. But I think Maggie realised pretty quickly that she'd messed up. She realised that that wasn't what was happening at all. There was going to be a European army. There was going to be European policing, and people started speaking about this. And of course, you were called insane. And you've been called insane for a long time, saying that you just walk straight into a room, and there it is. You're in it. Stasi, whatever you want to call it. You're in that dystopia. The police are outside more concerned about putting pink on their police car than they are about anything else. And inside you've got the Stasi, and you've got if you read sort of 1984, you've got the Orwellian dystopia right there in front of you, and it's like, oh my god. So it's gone a lot further than people think, and I'm worried that with this crypto, like with what Bill Gates is doing, I'm not just worried, I know what they're doing and the control they want to exert. It's nothing to do with money. This with them, there's money's irrelevant. It's power, it's control. I would never. How can I put this in a layman's terms? You got kids, right?
I've got kids. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't known you very long. How old are the kids? How old are your kids?
19 and 16.
Okay, so 19-year-old boy or girl?
19 girl, 16 boy.
Okay, let me imagine she came to you and said, look, I'm going to join the forces because there's big trouble with China or Russia, or whatever. I want to go and fight for my country, right? Now, 50 years ago, you may have packed her up with a smile on your face and be very proud of her. Yeah. Now, if you're anything of a father, you would sit down and you would talk about that, because the people you're just about to go and die for don't give a holy who about you. Because literally, we are the feeders to them. We're no higher than them. We're the feeders. We're no more than ants on the floor, sheep in a field. That's it. So, as this gets
meat in the grinder is the word I use.
They increase their control. It's a power. It's just power.
See, the thing is, right?
Use it.
With that scenario, with our armed forces, I'm proud of our armed force. I'm proud that people go out and they join it and they believe that they're doing the right thing. And I don't believe, like, for instance, you was in the Marines, so you know, it's one of those
Absolutely.
things. You know, my hat's off. I know quite a few soldiers, and you know, they don't understand. Let's just call it the bureaucracy behind it all. You know, but I've known them to turn around and say, you know, some, especially who've left, gone, it's not what I thought it was. You know, I don't see how what we're doing is any good, except, and then I'm like, well, it depends on what you look at. You know, I've talked to you this before, but you've just battered it off. Open your eyes and you'll see. But the point is, right, what I found really with, for instance, Trump, when Trump came in, there was no wars. As soon as Trump left or evicted out, whatever, yeah, Israel started up again. It started up the fighting, like literally a week later. It was like, can you not see this, people?
Yeah.
That war is the way that they keep control or create fear, and you know, the arms. Most people I know, 99% of them, wouldn't pick up a gun and shoot somebody. Wouldn't even,
No.
you know. And the point is, we don't actually
you grew up in North Wales, but yeah, generally people are quite nice. But you talk about them saying one thing and doing another. Well, just look at the name for our defence forces. It's the Ministry of Defence. Ministry of Defence, not Ministry of Attack. Ministry of Defence. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
you got an attack.
I'm all for going. In 1991, we went to northern Iraq and set up a safe haven 4-5 commando for the Kurds, and eventually getting gassed by Saddam Hussein. That felt good. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. But the reality is, a few years later, when they attacked Saddam and murdered all those people and got involved, it had nothing to do with looking after the people, but everything to do with perpetuating the war machine.
Yeah.
Right? And without the war machine, the whole thing breaks down. And the trouble is now,
they're going into the theatre.
Yeah, theatre of war. Yeah, it's all. But so as you get older, when you're 16, you see a careers office window, and it's got a guy with a green beret on, Royal Marine Commando. You're sold on that, right? It's an easy sale for a young lad. And in you go, gun ho, and you jump in. You got your commando course pass. You're off to 4-5 commando, and you're skiing, and you're doing all these things. And then all of a sudden, I just woke up one day and went, "Oh shit, this is ridiculous." Because we did Ireland, we did Northern Iraq. And then I just came to the conclusion that all I was a very underpaid bouncer, you know?
Yeah.
Security guard, whatever you want to call me. Yeah? So, but if somebody was invading the UK, there was a force invading the UK, then I would be on a plane as quick as I could and doing whatever, little fat man, doing whatever I could to defend that land. Are you with me?
Yeah.
No problem at all. But that's not what's happening. We're being sent out all over the world to enrich these massive corporations. And there's only about 4 or 5 from Disney onwards in their wealth to perpetuate our complete enslavery. Now, it's been impossible to enslave us properly because they can't keep a track of everybody. Well, now they can. Now they can. And that's what they're looking to do. Everybody, what you breathe, any steps you take, where you go, what you look at online, what you don't look at online, who your friends are. I mean, I was looking at a program the other day. So you've got naughty people in the UK, right? They're doing whatever, selling drugs or doing some dodgy business deals. They'll buy burner phones, right?
Yeah.
You know the old burners?
Yeah.
So you get a phone, you put another SIM card in, nobody knows who you are. I get on the phone and you contact the other people you contact before. Those systems are the most watched systems in the world, right? They are totally, utterly broken, yeah? But of course, people believe they're safe with that. They made us believe that we could do things on the internet that nobody would ever know about. Remember that in days? So people did. Yeah, people would send messages from Iraq to...
Oh, we're losing you again. Oh, well, I think we lost him again. The internet, or maybe they're stopping us. It's an interesting thing he says, actually, regarding burner phones. That's why I think the dark web was actually kind of initiated as well. It allows them to actually see who wants to, you know, do things under the counter, so to speak. That's why I haven't really visited the dark web. So anyway, let us know in the comments. You know, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. Obviously, thanks for watching. You know, our broadcast today. It's great if you can comment, because we will keep an eye on it and we will obviously reply back. But what are you thinking? Are you thinking that actually this has opened your eyes? So obviously Adam here is a multimillionaire. He's running his own company, and you know, and he sees the opportunity here to make the money. You know, to help people. You know, as he said, it was a decentralized finance, which is a very good point. Why are we allowing the banks just to do it? It's, you know, you can buy bits of gold, or you can get loans. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this. It's that new technology, or that new idea that he's opening up.
Back.
Yeah, you're finally. I think they're trying to stop you from talking to me. I think that's what it is.
I don't think we registered on that one yet. It'd be nice if we were that high. If we were actually getting across that many people, it'd be brilliant.
Well, this is the thing about me getting into COP26. I was quite surprised I was able to get in, because not 3 months prior I had a baton, you know, nearly at my face, you know, and then I got in, and the person who got me in, it was quite interesting, because it was just like, I said, oh yeah, right, here's all my details, and I said, I don't think, I said, it'd be nice to see if I'm on any agency list, so to speak. So it was cool, you know, and I got in, and like I said, the whole thing with regards to no police officer inside, all UN policing.
That's scary. That's really scary.
But this is the thing. What I'm really worried about, and what's going to happen. You know about all these injections we're talking about. We're talking about how crypto's linked into the social system and everything like that. What I'm really worried about is they're going to let it be known through mass media, whatever. They're going to let it know, and then all hell's going to break loose. It's going to be rioting in the streets. MPs, PMs, whatever, are going to be dragged out, killed and butchered because people's kids are dying. And then the UN are going to come in and fix it and protect us and make sure that we're okay. And I'm telling you, there was UN police all over that place.
That's very eloquently put, very succinctly put. And a lot of people don't sort of realize just what this is about. This is about bringing control of all these governments into one world order. Exactly. The reason that the politicians are doing so badly, as far as we're concerned, excuse me, they know exactly what they're doing. Oh. They know exactly what they're building towards. They know exactly where the plan ends. This is not a mystery to them. I'll give you an example. There was we went to 10 Downing Street. It was what was the name of that? The last Tory leader, not the lady, the one before, Cameron. And the Royal Marines are doing a speed march. It's trying to break a world record attempt. So like 20 people went to Downing Street before they went and run this marathon, and he came out to speak to them. He was so well briefed. We have our own sort of language in the Marines. He was using words that we use.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was that well briefed, yeah. Just so that little tiny meeting. So if you think they don't know what's going on, you're insane. Oh, right. This is what they want us to do is say, look, our politicians are a waste of time, which is what we're getting to at the moment. That's America, Trudeau, Canada, UK, Western civilization, if you will. All our politicians are now incredibly corrupt. They're not on your side. Let's move them out the way. And in comes the guy in shining armor, which should be the EU, and then an EU Africa, and then a few years all brought in. And if these people were in any way concerned about our well-being, we would have been addressing things like hunger, starvation.
One, that isn't it? Hunger. Yeah.
They're just but it's so hard to when you do your like you've done, you know what's going on, and you see the things other people don't see them. They don't. And because you don't get a platform of credibility, you're classed as a conspiracy theorist. Well, let me tell you, you're bang on the money. I don't know what's in the injection for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's got nanotechnology. It's going to, each time we connect to each device, is going to know exactly where we are. That's what I think. We've been marked. Now, some would say that the crazies would say that the Christians, you're not allowed to be Christian anymore. The Christian crazies would say that was the mark of the beast, you know? Yeah. And there's all sorts of things that are happening that we should be scared of. My only concern is the apathy, like you say, the 60%. Not because they're bad people. They've got mortgages, they've got kids, they've got wives that left them, girlfriends. They've got all this shit going on.
They are okay. They're in their world. They're doing all right. Why should I worry? That's what it is.
Yeah, that's yeah. But I get that as well. I get that sort of like, I'm okay. Well, it doesn't bother me. I'm just delivering, or I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
I'm doing okay.
This bothers everybody. This changes. This stops. We grew up in a world with relative freedom in the UK. That's been taken away. You can't even park in the UK now. You can't even say that you don't like somebody online without them turning up. You know, it's just become this dystopian, ridiculous state. And in law, still, what the police are doing is illegal. What the governments are doing is illegal. But no, you know, there's the opposition. There's Labour. There's Conservatism. There's the Greens. Whatever. They're all in the same game. Yeah, they just move the shit around as suits them. And when we all scream to get rid of our politicians because they're all so corrupt and rubbish, which is exactly what the game is, they will come in on a big white horse. Ride in.
But they'll be panicking in the streets. They will. This is what I'm really, and this is what we can't allow them to do, because the Magna Carta will be ripped up. It will be thrown away, because we will and we have to give the right, because obviously they can't occupy. They must have our vote, so to speak. And this is what's scary, is in chaos, like you're saying about having kids, we will do anything to protect our children. Yeah. And a majority of people have kids, you know, blah, blah, blah. So in that chaos, they can say, we will now govern you, world order. Yeah. Now, again, I have no problem with the world order, believe it or not.
Ooh.
No. Get this. I do not have a problem with the world order, because let's get rid of all the other crap that's going on in the world. Let's stop the killing, stop the hunger, like pharmaceutical, medicine, electricity, gas, water shouldn't be privatized. It should be available to everybody in the world.
Imagine how insane this is. I think Winston Churchill, they wanted to have a national water grid years ago when Winston Churchill was in politics. And he's gone, look, it's just one drop of chemicals in that water and you can infect the whole of the UK, right? Yeah. Now, they've allowed China, they've allowed Malaysia, Hong Kong, it's China as well, all over the world. They own our gas companies and our water companies. I just find that just off the charts crazy. I find that like off the charts crazy.
The point is, right, like I was going back to earlier, these private companies are asking at COP26 for loads, billions of pounds, yeah, in aid, right? And yet charging, you know, I come out there a few months later, boom, what I said is going to happen has happened, up 50%, it's going to go up another 50%. But I'm like, we should own the electrical, gas.
It's insane.
Yeah. And I say to people, if you don't think there is renewable energy out there,
what do you think fossil fuels are? But they're a lot more renewable than building loads of infrastructure to build. By the time they finish building enough solar panels to get us sort of into a situation, it's people are now looking at it going, this is ridiculous.
Do you want me to tell you what I've got about solar panels?
Fire away.
It's the next carrot. It's about money. It's about leanness. We all got to have solar. We don't need solar panels. There is other technologies out there that will work 24 hours a day.
Thorium. Have you seen that one?
Huh?
You've seen thorium?
Thorium. No,
you've got nuclear power stations. I know that's really oh my god, nuclear power. It's very clean. It's very effective, and if it's done properly, it can really work. Now the trouble is with uranium and all these other.
No. You can use magnets.
Well, no. They've got this thorium. It'll be. You could put it on your garden and it's going to be okay, right? So it's nuclear power. They can build technology now available everywhere in the ground.
We don't need nuclear power.
We could. I'm just saying nuclear power is one of them. But this isn't nuclear like the old nuclear power where it all melts down, everybody dies. This is like nuclear power that works, right? Okay. So there's that. You know, solar panels aren't the answer because it just doesn't work. You've got to store it in batteries. You've got to get it from a place where land was cheap, so you could have loads of solar panels to the cities on these cables. It doesn't work. Now, as far as the wind turbine goes, it works, but it's highly, highly expensive to set up. It has a shelf life between 20 and 30 years, and it creates more carbon footprint than if you just let them just use the gas. So the bottom line is that they know this, of course. They're not stupid. They know it's just a complete farce. I mean, the mess that Germany are in, the mess that Australia are in for trying to push this forward is ridiculous. They know this.
Yeah.
So why are they pushing for it still? Because they've got their hand in the pockets to do the surveys for the solar power, that do the reports for the wind energy, that have the activation groups, blah, 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 blah. They are endemically infested our whole system.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing's broken.
Feeding us, making us spend, be part of the slave system. So we constantly pay. If you don't have what will happen is if you don't have a solar dish or solar panel, you'll have to pay a higher carbon footprint. You'll have to pay a tax because of it. They are literally, and like people who own their houses, like they've said, you will own nothing and be happy. You know,
that's a statement, right? That's a statement and a half.
That video soon got taken down by the world.
I can't believe that they actually made that, because that is like, but it's so strong. People go and move on.
Yeah.
No, you'll own nothing and be happy, which means you won't have a house. You'll have no control of anything in your life. And if you have one opinion that goes off the narrative, and at the moment they're behaving, they're not particularly attacking us, the West. They've what they've done to the kids in India, what they've done in South America, in their quest for power is sickening. But the point is, we've still got a government that doesn't go out and shoot you in the street, right? Because it's not yet.
Depends on
right?
profile.
But when everybody's locked down and everything's locked into one system, that's what the government that you think's looking after you, that isn't at the moment, can do whatever it wants. And power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And if they've got that in the crypto system, the money, they've got it in the reporting system, they've got it in our water, our gas, our very land is now being repossessed and bought on the pretense of carbon whatevers, right? So they're taking the land off people. Well, that's dangerous territory, because we know that not all landlords are nice people, and we can guarantee that these landlords are not nice people.
Well, there's again Magna Carta and about you owning being able to own land rather it being the serf, whatever. It's one of those things you when you look at it, you go, hang on a sec. I've been given the ability to have my own, have rights, like for instance from slavery, given their freedoms, but the point being is we are losing them day on day, and once this cryptocurrency takes off and we have no longer a fiat currency, we are buggered. We really are buggered.
Well, we are, and we're not, because there are a certain percentage of people that see that and will start to fight it. How long? What my worry is, all change should be made democratically. Everyone's got their say. Whether you're, wearing high heels and decided to be a woman and want to go in the changing rooms, whatever you want to do within reason, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, you got to do what you got to do. I don't have to agree with you. What you're saying.
Well, but
I don't have to agree.
You are put up against the wall and virtually shot if you go against.
Oh, you are in the UK. I watched it. The UK. It was quite scary.
It's like,
really.
Do you know what?
Jack, the real one. Let me say. I've got to get this before I get it. Cool. David Bellamy, a national treasure. Yeah, national treasure. Bill Oddie was a bit odd, but he was definitely a naturalist, and he loved after the goodies. He liked all looking after nature. When this CO2 carbon nonsense came out, because if people actually look at it properly and see what it affects, it's nonsense. But when it came out, they came out and said, look, no, it's plant food. If it does turn the other way, it just means there'll be more plants growing and it'll sort of level itself out. They were BBC for 40 years. They were just killed, stopped, dead. David Bellamy, called an idiot. He was a guy that was in Australia fighting for the whales and Greenpeace years ago, and they were all attacking him.
Yeah, well, that's it. As soon as you
control the narrative, that media narrative, you control the thinking. And that's what's so scary about cryptocurrencies and about AI, is because it'll go on our glasses next, and it'll go on our eyes, and then at some point, people will start putting it on the brain, straight in.
Yeah? Well, no, it'll be the nanobots will do it. The nanobots will be.
They're gonna. The Microsoft, it's Gates, it's all there for you if you want to have a look at it. But if people should research it, because you sound insane. But the one good thing about people in crypto is they haven't had faith of the governments anymore with their monetary systems. That's how you get into crypto. And when I first got into it and started learning about fiat money and how it was invented and what it does and the petrodollar, I was aghast for a couple of years. I was like, wow.
It's an eye opener, isn't it? It is an eye. I mean, working for Lehman's, working in the financial sector, my parents, as I grew up, were very be careful what you believe in. It's a crazy thing, like I said, it's AAA, but it's a AAA. It's the best of the worst. Are you not telling the people? It's the lies that go with it and the corruption of the people.
There is no such thing as a free market. It's an absolute made up, ridiculous thing, right? Stocks are controlled. Do you know they had a a company in America that had their stock building. It's all computer trading now. It was about 14 kilometers away from the main stock exchange in America. So it took a nanosecond for the trade to get from there to their building, for the computers to do their thing, and then send the trade back, like an extra nanosecond, because they weren't actually at the exchange. Yeah. They just bought a building next to the exchange for like $400 million, just so they take that nanosecond off. So all trading now is nothing to do with people holding bits of paper up, going, hey, hey. It's all algorithmically controlled. It's all companies are backed or they're not backed. If you look at,
there's nobody with papers anymore.
No, God, no, it's a long time ago.
Oh my God, I'm old. But what's that thing?
Yeah,
Like, ding, 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 ding at the news.
They show it on television. But that's all finished. So it's now with the crypto market. Initially it was done by people. Yeah. So if people want to get on and if you're buying crypto, it's different than blockchain. You're speculative. You know, you might buy the right one, you might buy the wrong one. You don't know. But what I've seen is,
or buy a dog.
Yeah, but at the moment I haven't got an option for them that isn't better than gold. That I can honestly say, stand on me, that's going to be stronger through this next period. Buy a crypto, whether that's Bitcoin or whether you hold fiat currency. But I know gold. I know what gold is, and it will at least hold the value of your wealth at the very worst. Right?
It's interesting. Is Defi for you actually a cryptocurrency itself?
Well, no, it's not. It's a cryptocurrency because we need that without boring people to death. You need to have the blockchain working within the system. So you need the currency is actually the program, if you will.
Yeah. But you don't have a coin, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it's on there. You have a token, all right. And if the company does well,
a token, not a coin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a coin is.
It's like those bandit machines you used to play in the pub, and they used to kick out the coins. You know,
well, the value of that crypto,
and you go buy the beer behind the counter or play the game again.
Look, I mean, people say to me, you know, the value of that crypto very much depends on what you're doing with it, or depends on who's backed you to get in that situation. Now, there's certain cryptos, right, that fly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not just people picking them up and buying them. That's government-controlled sources. You know, Bitcoin itself, you know, was invented by somebody in Japan, 6 lads over there. Without going into too much detail, it certainly is. It's definitely controlled by people, very, very powerful people. Okay, very, very powerful people. So they can manipulate the price.
The bloodline.
If they don't like what your crypto does, they stop. They literally kill you on the exchanges.
Oh, okay.
All right. So like ours is decentralized finance, right? So we got a real fight on at the moment. Decentralized finance. Don't use the banks. Peer-to-peer lending, using gold promissory notes. You know, lend against your assets in down times, and then, you know, in good times buy other assets. So it's a whole system in itself. So it's more complicated than printing money and just giving it to the people. A lot more complicated, right?
So we're trying to offer them. All they do is they just phone up like, can you print us another billion? Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, just print it.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if they knew this before, but when the system was in place, only 3% of non-fiat printed money could be lent. Did you know that?
No,
lent and borrowed against. But they obviously knew digital was coming. That's all completely different now. Digital's here. They can lend 99% of money out there. It's got nothing behind it at all. Nothing at all.
Well,
fresh air.
It's against your bond. When
people
they
say
borrow
to me,
money.
why are you so worried about this recession? I don't think they call it recession anymore. I call it something else at the moment. Not allowed to use that word anymore.
Downturn.
This recession coming. Yeah. Well, because last time in 2006, 2008, as it all crumbled away, at least there was houses. There was some assets behind that. Now, they were overvalued, granted.
Yeah.
So when the crash came, it wasn't a complete crash. This time, there's absolutely nothing holding this pack of cards up, nothing. And when this goes, right, either crypto will see it like free range crypto, if you will become of age, or they'll kill us dead and they'll just do their own. Now the latter is more likely.
I'm about to say that.
Right? That's me. That's got cryptocurrency companies. I've always been honest with my people.
Yeah.
I think we're coming to a head in the next few years. There may be a profit in between, but in the end, I think they will turn us all off. Thank us for our time, all our study, all our testing, all our hacking, all our systems that are built. There we go. We'll have that. And our own currency. Thank you. So they've profited out of. They would have had to pay fortunes for it. They've got everybody scrambling to design this, design that. So what's disheartening is that people in the UK think they're free, and they're not anymore. You know,
Do you
that's
know
what's
what?
disheartening. It's been taken right from under their nose, and they don't understand the value of that freedom till it's gone. They don't understand exactly the value of that until it's gone.
Yeah, but
You're not going to get it back
I've
unless you
explained
have a
that to
revolution.
people. I've explained that. Well, this is what I'm worried about. Revolution. Again, the ripping.
I mean,
off
a
the
real
Magna-
one I'm on about.
Yeah, the Magna Carta. This is what I'm worried about. It's because once that happens, they can bring in the new Magna Carta. Oh, look, we've got a document.
I mean, the new Magna Carta, just the words are just like, what? It's the Magna Carta. It's the document in world history, the one that, you know, because America go about, they started their land of the free, and they did the principles and the founding fathers. That was based on the Magna Carta.
Right, yes.
The essence of the Magna Carta. In other words, common law, people could govern themselves, all right, and follow the religion they want to follow. Now, I mean, the police, I watched some of the police in the UK. I mean, what are the old policemen like? They must be like, you know, the old coppers. They must be like, what?
Again, I refer to Alan Robinson, who was police complaints commissioner, who was going for the position. He didn't realize how the mass media were totally and utterly against him. And I explained and not helped him, but I educated him into the process. And I learned about the police force. I learned about, like, in this country, the police are not allowed to be political. Yet all the major parties put a candidate up to be police complaints commissioner. How can that be? How honestly, I'm telling people, what the hell are you doing? There's only one person you can vote for, and that is Alan. He is the only one who is independent. He's an ex-copper. I said the others are standing for Labour, for Conservative and Liberal Democrats. The Conservative one, the Tory, would not come on my show for an interview.
No.
Again, I apologise to Liberal Democrats. We just didn't get a time. I got the Labour on, and I got obviously the independent Alan Robinson. Conservatives will not come on. My name is dirt. I swear to God. Yeah, they know who I am, and they send them way away from me. Because if I get them in my sight, and again, I don't care if you're Tory, I don't care if you're Labour or
it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant
to me. It really is. I believe in let's vote independent people in. Full stop. Get rid of all these stupid.
Let's get rid of these career wankers that have corrupted the system.
Exactly.
Let's get real people in there that do. They've got to earn a living. Yeah, of course, got to earn a living, but not the system is rigged. But if I was a policeman in the UK now, I would, and I'd been in for like 25 years. I think I'd be crying in the soup.
They don't know. But this is what I was talking about. See, I drop things into conversation where people don't even notice I've dropped it in, and it's a spoon feed. So remember earlier I said about the county council with its own police sort of officer. They can come in, which means they're not bound by. They can come in and do what they want, And the guy, our head of Bucks County Council, won't even come on my show. I've sent out numerous things. He won't. Martin Tett, he won't even come on. Yeah, he won't even reply to my messages. How freaking rude is that? And the point being is they're bringing in, they believe they look like the law, but they are not the law. And they can give fines out.
On the spot, without any, they can be judge, juror, right there.
And executioner. And that's where, and believe it or not, they are bringing in private police. Yeah. So I'm using the word private police because you would see them as police officers. Like, people don't even recognize in an ambulance service. A lot of the ambulances that we use on the road are private. So actually, if we step into that ambulance, the NHS don't have to pay.
Which is what they want, obviously.
Yeah. So we'll have to pay. They can give me there's your invoice. Like, I'm bleeding out, pumping blood. Invoice. What's the 20 grand for? It's for the ride to the hospital. What?
Just put your card on there, son. Don't you worry about that. We've already got you. We know you are. Your blood's everywhere. The DNA's in there. The RMA marker.
I haven't hurt my thing. We're trying to find your wallet, sir. We're trying to find your wallet. But this is the way it's all going.
But what's if I was watching this 5 years ago? I'd be like, these two blokes have been smoking far too much whatever, and snorting whatever, and they're off their heads. Because if you haven't got the information, it's not being sanctimonious. I don't think I'm some sort of great IQ. If you haven't got the information and you can't make an informed choice, you can't see what's going on. Because some of the stuff I daren't touch on, but it's deep and it's dark and it's nasty. Yeah?
Dirty dark.
It's if we can't, after 20 years, catch rape gangs in the UK, yeah. Thousands and thousands of girls, thousands, not one or two mistakes.
No,
thousands,
exactly.
not in one area, all over the UK. I mean, why people aren't just on the streets over this, I have no idea. You know, and the only people they still want to punish
Because
are people that talk about them.
happening to them. It's simple.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what it is.
You think it's that simple?
All the time. I've got friends, and I mean friends I've known for 30 years. You know, 30, 40 years. I grew up with them. And they literally would shut up, man. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know nothing. I'm like, really? And I've said, do not. And I
Flat earther.
Yeah, well, again, right, flat Earth. If you were going to go there, mate, let's go to flat Earth.
I've been there, and I have to say to you, it's compelling, right?
Yeah. Again, people say to me, "Oh, you're supposed to be a flat earther." Then I neither accept or deny that the Earth is flat. Like I neither accept or deny that it is round. I haven't seen proof. I haven't personally seen the truth.
Gravity.
Oh, right. You want to get on with gravity?
Gravity. That's what you get.
It's an interest. Somebody threw at me a very good question, and I'm trying to be like Yoda in one respect. I think I hate you smoking that.
You got the look good. You're looking good.
But so put it like this. They gave me this very good question. Show me a photo of a building upside down. It's like,
oh mate, that honestly, people, you know. We watch television. It's called programming for a reason, right? We're programmed for it. You watch people go on that. I've watched this guy. He's got a globe, right? And he's got an airplane on a stick, and he's in the UK, and he flies around the globe to Australia, and he's upside down. Yeah,
right.
So it's just a model. So he's flying. That plane would have to be upside down. There's no getting around it. There's no
exactly.
If it was round, you're upside down, and they just go. Gravity, and it's just gravity.
Yeah, pulling us in. See,
when I've looked at it, I've looked at flat Earth. Seriously, looked at it, and it's you know, a lot of the experiments that they use can be proven. A lot of experiments that we're told work are just nonsense. So what is true and isn't true? Again, controlling the masses. But you'll be called a flat earther, or you'll be called a conspiracy theorist, because all you've done generally is just slightly get in front of the knowledge they've got.
I tell you what, when somebody calls me flat earther, for instance, or a conspiracy theorist, I go, do not label me. Do not put me with something that they want you to do. Don't label me.
No, but you're already a white male. That's bad enough, right? You don't need any other white heterosexual male in the UK. Here,
I'm privileged.
In Vietnam, their families are very important. There's no social security here. If you fell on, there's nobody on the streets. There's no beggars. There's nobody without housing. You know, they look after their own. Families are very.
There's no social security in Vietnam.
No.
But yet there's no.
Oh well, no. Okay, let me say this. My friend's got about 6 or 7 properties. When it started, because of nobody could work and go anywhere in lockdown in the beginning, the Vietnamese government helped with putting some towards electricity bills. He's got 5 properties. He's given like about $7, right? So they've got. If you're really poor, they look after their soldiers and so on. But there's no social security here. This is as capitalist as it gets, Vietnam.
Okay.
But they've also got a kind heart. So they look after the families. Got a family unit. Hasn't been destroyed. But I'm now watching programs coming on television. Now, just starting to dabble with the trans and the LGBTQ and just starting the programming, yeah? And I'm watching it being done here. And I'm hoping to God it won't catch on, because they have got incredibly strong values. And the only way you can truly take over a country like the UK is by breaking it all down. And that's been done. You're all in you're gay, you're tall, you're small, you're fat, you're thin, you're black, you're white, you're brown, you're whatever. Listen, right? We're all the same within reason. Yeah. All of us having trouble over the world. This is just division. They haven't Vietnam. If you told the Vietnamese not to fly their flag, you'd literally have a civil war.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, they did it in this country. You're not allowed to fly the Union flag because it's classed as racism.
It's just hard to watch, mate. Having been in the Marines, hard to watch. Really? It's like, what?
When I worked at the NHS, I was told I wasn't allowed to put up. I mean, they did it to wind me up, to be fair, because I went from an office to a big office because of the position I had to hold. So it was like, where do you want to be? I said, I'm going to go in the right corner, really. You know, Winderby Army, blah blah blah. And they were like, oh, you're not allowed any Christmas decorations up. And I just I said, first of all, I am a Christian, and you know, I do not go to church, so to speak. but I believe we live in a Christian country, so I suggest you try and sue me if that happens or whatever.
Yeah, well, the reason they want to get rid of it isn't because it's the morality of Christianity they want to get rid of. The morality to break the family down. It's got a great set of whether you believe in whatever your God is, right? But there's morals there. It's reward. The breakdown of the family in the UK is rewarded with more money. Single mums get more than if they're married. Well,
I don't know. I'm a single dad.
No, dads don't.
They keep. Oh yeah, sorry. Of course,
dads don't. You're white. You're white. You're over, mate. You're white. You're a white man. You are the last of your breed.
White breed. Yes.
I watched them on. I've never been big on politics the last few years. I watched Fox and CNN, but I watched them pushing their narratives. Both of them, blatantly pushing the narratives. Blatantly just completely trying to divide everybody.
Yes, one does the other one.
And I wish we stopped saying the Americans are invading Ukraine. It's not the Americans, it's the politicians. And we should make that distinction. When we talk about countries doing things.
Corporate politician.
Well, yeah, well, they're not in charge of it, obviously, but they're the people that have been the front of it. But the point being is most people are good, not all people. Most people can govern their own families. There's nothing wrong with the family unit. In fact, it's the one thing that's probably holding the world together. If you try to break up the family unit in Asia, you're wasting your time.
That's a great thing. That's
one of the things I love about here. Yeah, I really love the community, the families. It's not always good, mother-in-law's here at the moment, but genuinely, I've got 9 people in the house. So, but when you
got such a big house.
Yeah, it's quite a big house. Got 9 people living in the house.
Right,
but we put one to university or whatever. But we look after the local, like our little family. Because when I first came to Vietnam and we were setting up with the travel and all that, like years ago, it was hard, and my wife's family looked after me. They fed and watered us, make sure and so when we were doing better, we put them to university.
Did you meet your wife before Vietnam? What was it?
No, I met 10 years ago when I first sort of came into Vietnam. Okay. She was unlucky enough to meet me.
I'd agree.
And when I landed in Vietnam, you remember I've been in the Marines and it's a communist country, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oof, have I done the right thing here? As I'm stood in the airport.
What am I doing?
You've been to Thailand, right? You're a single fella, right? You must have been to Thailand.
I've never been to Thailand, no.
Well, you can't call yourself a single dad till you've been to Thailand. But nevertheless, right? In Thailand, they all wear these incredibly tight sort of uniforms. Well, in Vietnam, they look like they were handed down from the brothers. So we've got these uniforms on, and they're all like, they're massive on them, like that. Long arms and that. So I'm stood in this queue, stood in this queue waiting to be processed. And the thought hit me, I thought, former Royal Marine Commando, not ask anybody just to come in here on my own. It's a communist country. Shit. Have I done the wrong thing here? So as I'm walking towards this guy that's stamping the passports, anyway, he looks up, speaks to me, very pleasant, stamps passport, and sends me off. I walk through the airport, and I'm like, wow, I thought this was a third world country. How wrong I was.
Yeah. Do you know what?
How wrong I was.
A mutual friend out there has educated me a bit about it. Yeah, he showed me.
Oh, Steve's out here Steve's out here. Steve's out here because you can go out and have a drink and pay like 50p, I think it is now.
Oh, for a jug, isn't it? 30p for a jug.
30 or 50p, and he can and you can have a couple of beers a night and have a nice little lifestyle here, and not have to worry about sort of money too much, because you don't. In the UK, I don't know how much you need in the UK to have a free lifestyle now. But if you don't take home £1,000 a week, I must imagine you're not really in a safe place.
Yeah, I'd agree. If not more, you need. Yeah. Now the point was when I was getting divorced, so to speak, I went around the world for 3 months. I say I went around the world. I went around the commercial world. I went to Las Vegas, Boston family. Then went to Las Vegas. Went to Hawaii, went to Sydney, and then went over to Perth and toured around the south coast of Perth for a few months. But I detached myself from the whole system because it was a big reality check. I've worked all my life. I've always tried to provide for my family. And then I was robbed of everything. House, kids. The kids was the main thing. Not how...
Yeah, when you go through that divorce, the money's irrelevant. It's the kids.
You are told, be more feminine as a male. Yeah? Irrelevant of colour. Be more feminine. Yeah. Be more feminine, blah, blah, blah. And you are. But when you go through divorce, you're told to man up. And so you can't have both. But they want it. And being told by my solicitor, that's why I went away. My mum actually was like, Martin, you need to get away. Luckily, I started work for the
Good
NHS.
advice.
And the NHS, my bosses in the NHS came in and she sat down and she was like, "You're right." And because I wasn't going through divorce then, it was only once I took the job. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. She came in and she sat down and closed the door in my office and she said, are you one of these people who needs to work through it, or are you one of these people who needs to get away? And I'm like, I'm really one of those people who needs to kind of just get away from it. And I was like, but 2 weeks ain't going to do it. And then she was like, she was like, well, how long do you need? A month, 2 months, 3 months? I was like, 3 months might be all right. And so it began. And she told me certain things I can do to, speak to the doctor, say a few things, rah-de-rah, so I can get X amount of money, blah, whatever. So, and then, and they were really good to me, actually, the NHS, the management there. But I sat on a beach in Woi Woi, which is north of Sydney. And I went, as far as I was concerned, I'd done everything right. And look where I am, the other side of the world. And my dad taught me, you work hard, son, and you look after your family. You make sure the money comes. And I went through hell working at Lehman's, by the way. Hell. Love the people I worked with. They were amazing. Yeah, and I'll honestly tell you that, it was a good time of my life. I got paid lots of money to look after a mortgage system. I had a woman personally attack me, as in not physically, but it made my life a hell. But I actually got back from quite a few of the directors. Actually, they realized what was going on, but they wouldn't sack her or put anything against because she was so.
Oh no, woman.
But exactly. But I was always.
That doesn't mean I hate women. That means if a woman makes an accusation, you're guilty until you're proven innocent.
Yeah, exactly, which is wrong. I mean, I was always taught by my parents. You never attack a lady. Whatever. If a woman hits you, you walk away. It's blah blah blah, all that sort of thing.
It's right. It's how the world. It's how we're naturally set up. Right?
That's how it's set up. But I disagree with that statement now. I disagree. I say if a woman hits you, you have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. But no. Sound like Vicky Pollard. If a woman hits you, yes. But generally they don't, right?
Yeah.
But they do abuse you mentally. And when I went through, I don't know if it's
but men abuse women mentally, just like the physical aspects. Nobody has the right to hit somebody else. Nobody has the right to put somebody else through mental torture. Yeah. But what we have, and this is another great thing that's going on out there. Everybody apparently has a mental health issue.
Oh God. I've definitely got one. I know I have. I mean, I've been in Asia for 27 years. I was in the Marines from 16. I was at Naval Training College before that. I'm sure I've got PTSD. I'm sure I could go down the poor me route. And what about me and that negative route, which would be rewarded quite well in the UK because there's people I know in the UK that have been doing that for years and they get cars and houses and everything paid for. Right. So to be negative and to be defeative is rewarded. Here, nobody's listening, right?
Get on with it.
Like what?
Grow up.
What you got ADHD. I was trying to explain dyslexia the other day, and they just looked at me like I was fucking insane. They're like, well, "No, you're just stupid then." But you got dyslexia, ADHD. You've got PTSD for everybody now. Everyone's got it now. You've got depression. All these things are relevant. And years ago in the family unit, maybe you went to your granddad or your grandma and sat with her for a while and got a bit of therapy that way, or you went to your Uncle John, and it was all dealt with in the family unit. They weren't the end of your world because there was no reward for it. You had to get yourself out of that state of mind and back into the system that you work in, right? Yeah. So if you didn't pull yourself together by your bootstraps or whatever, then you were just going to sit on the street, literally, and that's what would happen here. So they don't, like, addiction is a great one, right? We are sold in the West that addiction has nothing to do with us. Alcoholism, drug addiction, glue, whatever you're taking, it has nothing to do with us. It's actually a disease. Now, there are a very small amount of people that can be chemically proven, but it's a tiny amount of people, right? So when, like, say in the Vietnam War, a lot of the GIs were on heroin. 35%, 40%. When they came back, they were off it and fine and got on with it. And there was a little tiny percent left that needed the treatment. So there is a case, I suppose, for addiction being a disease, but most of it's not. It's just downright lazy.
Oh yeah, I just want to borrow myself. I like where I'm at. It's like drinking, like smoking. Here's an interesting one. So obviously we're both smokers.
Yeah, I'm
So,
addicted.
yeah. Well, again, it is an addiction, but it's not classed as a disease.
No.
Wonder why that is. And here's another one. All right. Again,
they're
I
not
know.
taxing it, are they? Are they taxing them?
Huh?
Are they taxing them? Is that what it is?
Mate, they tax them higher than petrol.
Do they tax cigarettes?
Yes. just a little. So
it's okay then. It's okay then.
So exactly. Well, this is the no. Get this right. So you pay a high proportion of tax on the cigarette, right? But get this: doctors can turn around and refuse to give you medical treatment, i.e., remove a tumor because you smoke. Well, if I smoke and I pay my taxes for that, what the hell? And anyway, I don't. What gives you a right as a doctor? Who do you think you are, God, to tell somebody they can't have a medical treatment? You have the skill to save that person or remove that tumor, even though actually I can go into a whole new world about the body and about toxins and about actually acid in your body. You know, you need to make it more alkaline, and that can actually get rid of the tumor. But anyway, block tubes for.
They proved that a long time ago. The acid alkaline balance to be changed, kills all cancer. That was proved a long time ago. Yeah. Of course, there's a profit in it, so you're not going to get out there. That's proved, documented, done.
But again, let's go back to that smoking scenario, right? But I've said to people, right, you'll get cancer, and I go, right, yeah, you know, there is a higher possibility from somebody who doesn't smoke that I will get cancer from smoking, even though I think it's predisposed in my DNA because of my family, as it's kind of in the line. So I don't think whether I smoke or don't smoke, I think I'm still going to get it. But I said, here's an interesting question, and I want you to answer this question to me. Right, ready for this? Do you think the amount of people who smoke these days is less or far less than there was 10 years ago?
It's more.
You reckon more people smoke?
Yeah.
Not in this
now
country.
they're vaping. They're vaping now, right?
Yeah, but they're not smoking, are they? Yeah, but they're not smoking.
Well, as in cigarette smoking, I should imagine in the UK, it must have gone down, the purchase of cigarettes.
It's gone down. And I said to him, so why has cancer gone up to 1 in 2?
Well, because that's only a little bit of the equation. Look at what they put. Look at what they put on the food and in the food. It's scary.
Look what they put in the sky. Here's a question: in Vietnam, have you been looking up at the sky recently and looking at the planes flying by, which are done by military?
Done by. It's not just military. It's all the planes.
Yeah, but what you've got the streaks,
chemtrails on all of them.
Chemtrails on all the planes.
Yeah.
So
I don't really want to bring this up. I don't know if I can bring this up living here, but yeah.
Oh, really? Why?
Yeah.
Do us a favor. Take a bit. Usually, what I see in this country, right, is the chemtrails being made by a very supersonic sort of jet. Now, I live in the path of a runway of Luton, basically, and I can see this one kicking out all the crap, and then the commercial plane coming in, and not even soot coming from the back of the plane. So hang on, there's one going at supersonic speed up the top there that's kicking out this and crisscrossing the sky like Checkers, right? Even though Checkers is just up the road. Anyway, but then I've got this commercial jet, like literally just in the same shot. It's like, well, this is crazy. You know what I mean? You can't say...
Yeah, but you say to people that there's chemtrails, they're like, so what? So, well, what's in them? Monsanto, all the food production, all the chemicals they're using on our food. I'm not on about the phosphates to help it grow that they're trying to ban. I'm on about things that they put on to that food and mix in that food that are very bad for you. Vegetable oils, the whole food system in the UK. And look at the people. Now, I know I'm fat. I'm not skinny. All right. I got diabetes a few years ago. I wasn't always fat, but I am fat. In Vietnam, fat is very rare.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
Because you got the like a red river that they grow their own veg, and yes, they'll put too much fertilizer or whatever on it. I'm sure there'll be too many chemicals, but basically it's market gardening. There's lots of little places you can get your vegetables from, little markets around the corner, localized, gardens. Okay, and you look at the people. I mean, they are incredibly beautiful. They're all slim.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all mobile till they die. They do have cancer now, but it's been quite recent that started to happen, a lot of cancer. And that's got a lot to do with above the sky and all that's going on. So whether it's chemtrails, whether it's crypto, if people can just understand that a lot of governments, not all governments, not all, and I don't think Vietnam are playing with it on the world stage at all. I think they're doing really well. A lot of governments have sold their people out.
Yeah.
That's what they've done.
The people
they're meant to represent you. They've sold you out. They've taken the rights off you. They control the food supply. I don't know how long it's going to be before we're going to have an air tax, but it's going to come along in our lifetime.
Yeah, I am a bit scared with the way the world's going. I mean,
but you try and explain because you've got the knowledge.
Yeah,
but you haven't got the credibility to break the knowledge.
Exactly, I'm not big enough.
You're not a doctor of climate change, for instance. I mean, I was laughing in the UK when Corbyn was running last time. Yeah. His brother is one of the most senior climatologists in the UK. Mega respected.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy hair. Looks like a mad
being
scientist.
Ridiculed in the press.
He's been doing like Corbyn, who must speak to his brother, must know what he's peddling his lies, right?
Well, I don't speak to my brother that much, to be honest.
Well, maybe not. But the point is, you've got one brother selling the green agenda, and if you all get taxed enough, it'll all be okay. And you got the other brother just calling it for what it is, absolute nonsense, right? And that's in one family. Yeah. So as much as I don't want it to be a revolution, because that's going to do nobody any good, but I think in the end it could come down to it. I don't want anything to do with that. But I think in the end,
no, it will come to it. But then the UN's going to come in. It's going to be world order.
That's what I mean, because the trouble is, if you study revolutions, is whoever goes into power with the best intentions, let's say, usually does much worse than the people that are already in power.
Yeah, but I like to think of the Star Trek scenario. Do you ever used to watch Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, there was a world order, basically, if you look at it.
Yeah.
But everybody was doing okay. Yeah, the world was living lovely, energy was free, and people could walk, and then boldly go where no man has gone before. But yeah, and that's what I'm talking about, that utopia when I talk about a world order. But
listen, I'm all for this utopic idea, and it's a lovely idea. As communism is a lovely idea, as socialism is a lovely idea, but nobody's put it down yet and made it work without millions of people dying.
Because power corrupts.
And absolute power corrupts, absolutely, right?
This is the thing.
But when the world order comes in, the worry is they've got control of the finances, the food, the air, the water, the transport. I mean, we don't need autonomous cars. There's no real reason for us to have.
Because when I want to get dangerous from the pub, I ain't got to pay for a taxi.
But when Uber came out, I was like, and I looked at the system behind it. I thought, God, this is just a telltale. Anybody knows exactly what you're doing all the time, where you are, you're tracked all the time. So it's here. They've got Uber. They've got they're not so much Uber. They've got their own 3 or 4 delivery people on motorbikes and such. You're tracked. If you look if you've got an Apple iPhone, you look on your health app. Look behind your health app.
Oh,
look God, have you seen what's on there? That health app has got nothing to do with health at all. You get the little heart app. That records your steps going up downstairs.
Right.
Even if you don't want it to, it's all being recorded and sent off. So they, at the moment, they have control of what they can see what we're doing. When they control the narrative and the one information flow, that's when we go into the real problems. Because if you're only the product of the information that you get, and if you can't get outside of their narrative, you're in trouble.
Which is what they mostly do, unfortunately. They watch.
Well, that's been doing for years. I think a lot of people are onto it now, and I think a lot of people realise that's happening now.
I got to admit, there is an increase in people who are literally waking up, so to speak. But I've been banging on about it for years, absolute years. And I get people go, "Oh, this is going to happen. It's all going to change. We're going to have the 28 days of darkness and blah blah blah." And I'm like, I've heard that so many times before. I've heard it all.
Some of the stuff I go down, some rabbit holes I go down, obviously, are just end in chaos, right? Oh God.
Yeah.
But the overall, if you like, the plan overall is divide, make incredibly dependent on state, change into world order, super control, one narrative, in you go. I mean, Google. I remember Google getting refused by China years ago. China went, "No, you're not coming in here." And I remember thinking, them communists, you don't know what are they on about. It was only a search engine. We had no idea what it was at the time. They were spot on. I remember Zuckerberg coming here with his wife, because Facebook was banned here.
Okay.
Going to get on a VPN when I first got here. Coming here with his wife, who was their parents were Vietnamese, so he's come here with his wife. They've had a little chat, said what they said, and disappeared. What he's basically done is he's come in and said, "Listen, this is a data collection process. You can find out exactly what everyone's doing all the time, and you can watch the people. Don't ban it. Boom, that's how it really works." Yeah.
Oh,
FBI, FB, and they do it all the time. right? So he went away, and then Facebook was opened up, and it was all wonderful. But all these platforms are basically like, they're just whatever you do, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
Whether you're searching for porn, PORN, PAWN, whether you're looking to see what the state of the Vietnamese dong is on the market, every single thing you do now is logged.
Oh,
but
yes.
they can't consolidate the information properly on the chain yet, because they haven't brought it in to bring it in exactly to the person and know that's you and what you're doing. Now, they had a big thing on Facebook saying, there was uproar saying, you don't have to even put it into search engine anymore. You can just talk it in front of your phone. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they poo-pooed that, didn't they?
Yeah? No, it's true.
It's absolutely true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they go against TikTok, which is the Chinese, dancing sort of social app, yeah, saying that the Chinese are gathering data about us. And I just start laughing. They are, yeah. Fair play, they are.
I've got a mate who took out his Alexis. Yeah, right. Literally took Alexis all out of his house. I said, but you still got your iPhone next to you.
Well, this is the thing. When people get onto it and they start taking themselves off these platforms, it won't matter when you've had your. It doesn't matter where you go, you'll just connect up.
As I've clearly stated and shown and obviously on the screen, which is the wonderful. That is it. That's how it's all going to work. It's all
if people sit down and read that, it's public knowledge. It's available.
Exactly.
It's the guy involved is a guy called Bill Gates, all right, who is a software salesman, but now in charge of the World Health Organization because he donates God knows how many billions to it. So they control the narrative. That's where they're going with it. They've stated it's there. Read Agenda 21. Read it. Come to your own conclusions, but don't go back to your channel, your BBC or your CNN, and look for anything other than programming and effective get you into their narrative. Into their narrative. Get out of there. This stuff is publicly available. This is what gets me. It's not like you have to be a super sleuth to get it, right? Yeah, exactly. It's there. I mean, when I was told about Agenda 21, I was like, okay. I didn't have a great trust of government because I'd been in the forces and I sort of knew the bigger picture game. Yeah. And I looked at Agenda 21 because until then I thought David Icke was an absolute lunatic. I mean, I'm not sure now still, but he's got a good heart for sure. But I thought he was an absolute lunatic. And everything he said was on there. And I was like, wow. Bill Gates, it's there. The patenting of the COVID virus, it's there to look at. You can see it before.
Yeah. Again, it's the programming. Literally, like I thought Bill Gates was doing good. He was doing a lot for malaria and blah blah blah. Oh, and then you start to realize, hang on a sec, no, he's not. And
have you seen India? What he did in India? The Indian government are going to sue him at the moment. I had a friend that was mega into Gates. He's like a Gatesy, a real Gatesy. I was neither here nor there. I started reading stuff about it and the testing with the kids and the vaccines and the jabs and all that, and paying the families off in India and the little girls dying in their tens of thousands, not in their ones and twos, after bribing their parents because they were so poor to test the vaccine on them, right? Same in the Congo with the AIDS virus, which actually spread the AIDS virus. It's another thing altogether. But I started really looking into virus and vaccines. And they've been at this since the beginning. That's what's really scary. That's what's really scary. Because I was like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Oh no, I've had smallpox. I'll have my my red fever.
Coming back to the Boris thing about anti-vax. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I mean, kind of am now in one respect.
I am now for sure. Yeah, because
but this is the point. We again, I've had all the other injections up till COVID, and people go, and I said, sure, that should tell you something. But people are like, no, they don't get it. Right. So I go, right. Then identify the virus. Show me what I've got friends who tell me stuff. And, right, whatever. And then I go and look it up. I educate myself. I listen to what they say and then I educate myself. And only if again, flat earth. I can't prove whether it's flat or not.
And neither can they.
Yeah, and people go, yeah, but look, I've got a photo of the earth. It's like, yeah, can you give me another one? Yeah, show me a building upside down. Show me something that hasn't been reused. Show me that it's not the same one from 30 years ago. Surely to God,
they admit that they're photoshopped. And if you look at the different years, they've all got different size continents on them, and it's like. I don't know when they went to the moon. I don't know exactly what isn't.
Look at the moon,
but there's something definitely amiss with the whole system, right?
Take a photo of the moon, and then tell me if you can make out the countries of the earth, and then tell me what the other extraterrestrial thing is, which is the extra land mass it shows.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go too deep because nobody listens to me. It's like when I first started listening to David Icke, I loved him, and then he got into the lizard thing, and I was like, ooh.
See,
yeah, because flat Earth is a step too far for a lot of people. When my friend told me about it about 8 years ago, really intelligent guy, fractional trader, brilliant guy, and a journalist. And I said, "Oh, you're flat earther," and he's gone, "Have you looked at it, Charlie?" And it took me aback. I've gone, "No, I haven't looked at it. What are you on about?"
I've got other things to do with my time.
Busy man. He said, "Have a look at it. See what you think." I said, "What you believe it?" He said, "I'm not saying that." He said, "Have a look at it." Yeah. And I spent about 3 months in that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I came out of that rabbit hole. It actually did me a load of good, because when I came out of the rabbit hole, I realized just how controlled the whole narrative was, the whole thing. Now, whether you believe in flat earth or whatever you want to believe in, right? And I know if you stand in Australia and upside down, whatever you want to believe in, you can believe in, right? But what it does, it opens your eyes up a lot to just how controlled the system is. Now, what's been breaking my heart and watching the UK doing what it's doing to itself, great, Welsh, brilliant people, the Scottish, mad as a box of frogs, but brilliant people, the Irish, yeah, we've had some problems, the English, quintessentially English. What's wrong with being quintessentially English? I've got a partner in the UK as a business partner. His name's Miles Mann. You'll see him on the Defi. He is quintessentially English. That business he's got since 1700s. He's a really nice chap. He's got a lovely family. Goes skiing once a year. Pims. He's English as English can be. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Teasco's English, we call it, right? What's wrong with that? Right. And what's wrong with being, I don't know what they call him now, a rapper? Nothing wrong. But the whole society, I think it was 1 million got asylum last year in the UK. 1 million people.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. They've got your eye on the boats, haven't they? Doesn't mean it's not going on everywhere else. So 1 million people got the. It's Albanians, right? I think it's Albanians coming in. They're already in the EU. But it's 1 million people. It's a million. People don't realise just what that does to a country. Yeah. So in America, they're doing the same again. What's really happening is that we haven't got enough people in our system to keep it running. There's not enough kids in the UK, right? So it's gonna literally fall off a cliff unless we press gang people to come in. We'll sell it that's worth coming first. So they're fighting to get here, and why not? If that's the loophole, why not come here? And they come here, and they get looked after as they should, to an extent. But if they're able-bodied male, right? No, I'm sorry. And they're Albanian, they're already in the EU, and I think that's 70% in the last year on the boats have been exactly that, already in the EU, going for a political asylum. It's nonsense. So Brexit happened. A lot of Brexit, the power of it was that people wanted to control the borders again. And let's face it, we're an island, so it's not hard. You've got a Royal Navy. It's not like an impossible task, is it? We can read a paper from space, but we can't stop a dinghy. So
another foreign lands. We've got enough boats around our own shores. That's what it is.
You can literally run a radar system, a central location in the UK that all links up, and you can know when somebody steps to put their toe in the water in France.
Yeah.
From one location, right? So you can have 20 boats or whatever, and you could close it off. The point being is, we're recruiting at the moment in the UK because there's not enough people having enough kids. And some of the best people to recruit are religions that have a lot of kids, because then we don't have this fall off the cliff birth rate, which will just kill the economy. So fine, but let's get honest about it. Let's not say that we've got a British Navy that's even still one of the best in the world, and we can't stop a couple of dinghies. Let's stop the bullshit, shall we? Stop it. It's ridiculous. They had it on television the other day. Some French police came onto a dinghy and stabbing it in France, stopping them getting on it. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Anyway, stabbing this dinghy. So they made a real big thing about stopping these refugees, whatever, coming over to the UK. But it's just at the same time as the French government were putting another 400 million requests in, so they could have financial help to stop the people coming over the border. Yeah. So it's just like, come on, it's ridiculous.
I've seen like private documentaries of police don't care. People just they just drive past the camps. They don't care, because the point is if that was the case, then if they're transiting through France, then they're illegal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
exactly.
ludicrous. The whole thing's ludicrous, right?
If you were really fleeing,
you get over the border. You get over the border.
I want to get to somewhere safe.
You put your tent up, you go, thank God for that, and you're in a refugee camp, right?
Exactly.
That's what a refugee is.
Yeah, but refugee camps are not good either. Do you know?
But
But
like
this is
in
the
Iraq,
point.
it's
better than where you were. It's better than where you were.
Yes, I'm not just saying they live in the. What I'm saying is, if that refugee applies for asylum in the UK, that's a valid application.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you went for the first border you come to, and you asked for asylum.
I'm alive. There's my tent.
Thank God. Yeah.
Thank God for that. Thank Allah. Thank God. We want to thank. But no, I mean, we're basically recruiting because the birth rate's falling off. They've destroyed the family unit. They had one child policy in China. They've just realised, oh shit, they've changed that in China as well. This was a good idea, we thought, but if the birth rate just drops off the end, India actually the next superpower after China, and it all changes again. So everyone's scrambling around trying to populate their country in America, like they can't close the border. Come on. Yeah, they've got people walking from Cuba.
But to be honest,
from South America.
The thing is the outside of the world is getting colder, while, for instance, places in the Arab Emirates and stuff like that are going to get cooler, but to the sort of temperatures we have in the UK. I think there's a lot of offshoring of let's get rid of these people, because
there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Those places are going to be basically like the New Britain, so to speak. They're going to have a good temperature all year round, and they're going to be the places that you want to live. If you live in, for instance, the UK or some, the hemisphere that we're in or so, whatever, it's going to be really, really, really cold, or really, really, really cold. It's going to be it's going to be extremes. So because of where, like I say to people, the North Pole isn't where you think the North Pole is. It changes.
Yeah,
it moves.
Yeah. Nobody's actually been to the North Pole.
Here's an interesting question.
You've seen how much that's moved as well.
Oh, massively. But then again, if you look at,
if there is a pole reversal, people don't. You can have an asteroid. You can have a pole reversal. These are massive, massive, would destroy humanity. Not a peep out of anybody.
Oh,
yeah. The poles are looking like they're going to reverse, and if it starts to happen, we're in trouble.
I'm not saying that the poles are going to reverse.
Oh, they've reversed. It's proven. It's documented fact. 180 times in our history, the poles are reversed. Right. So, fact proven. When it does reverse, it drops the protection from the sun, and all sorts of things are going on, and that's why they think every
document on that. I've not seen that. Huh.
If you we're told that in Egypt, that was the beginning of civilization 5,000 years ago. Right, that's what we're told. Right. There's huge proof that every 10 to 15,000 years we keep having to start again.
It's called a reset, is it not?
Yeah, something's happening somewhere. Yeah, something's happening somewhere that we are go definitely teppy. They found another site, Neolithic site, and it's 14 to 12,000 years old. Fact, with just the same architecture they have in the pyramids. So that's completely blown out the start of our civilization pyramids. There's absolute proof over there. And they're going back now hundreds of thousands of years, seeing that civilizations are growing, whether it's Aztecs or whatever, and then they're going, and then they're coming back again.
Oh, okay.
And they're going back again.
Personally.
And a lot of it has to do with the pole. They're saying to do with the pole reversal, because when the poles reverse, it's a natural thing. Your Van Halen belts and all the things that protect you from all the nasty stuff out there, they break down, and solar flares and so on and so forth. But again, what is and isn't true. What we do know is that civilization today thinks it's the most intelligent civilization that's ever lived, and that's probably very unlikely.
Very. Yeah, I think we've got dumber as we got older, as they say.
Well, we're a nation. We're a civilization with amnesia. I think the guy says that does it all, and he's correct. But whatever these things that may be, all we have to concentrate on is if we can keep our own common law going in the UK for UK people that millions of people have died for.
Yep.
Genuinely died for, to say that my granddad would be curling up his shoes and being happy. He was in the First World War. He was in the Second World War. He got injured, retired as a captain in the Cheshires, did his bit, believed in it. He was 18 in the First World War. He was one of the few people to do First World War and Second World War. Lucky chap, right?
Got in both. Huh.
Yeah, got in both. My father, I was in. We all believed in it. I stopped my son joining recently. He wanted to join the Marines. He passed all the tests. He got a superior pass. I stopped him. I didn't stop him. I got him out in Vietnam so I could have some time with him and put my case towards what I thought was happening, and he could make an informed choice. So I didn't stop him. You can't join the Marines, so he joined anyway. But I explained to him that maybe this utopia that we've been sold by fighting for our country isn't quite what you think it is. And at the end of the day, as soon as you left, it's over for most people. You know, I've got friends that have done 20, 25, 30 years in the Marines, Corps RSM, done various, knighthoods and all the rest of it. And they're very happy. But I think that's gone now. To join the military now and not to think you're going to go to war. People didn't join the military to go to war. Go for a sports draft, or you're going to go and do this, or you're going to... No, that's what it's for. Yeah, it wasn't to go to... Now they're joining and they know they're going to war.
Yeah.
And they're volunteering. Well, they're not anymore. They're not volunteering. So I have
there is quite a few volunteers.
I have faith in the people. Absolute faith in the people. I think we have good and bad days, but I think generally we're okay. But I think we have to stop, literally sack all the politicians, literally all of them, without exception.
Unfortunately, that'll only happen if people listen to what I say, which is only vote independent people in.
Yeah. And like, I worked with the SO officers in they have police in London with the guns years ago, and they used to come down to Lympstone, and they do some training at Lympstone Commando Base. We do some fire training. They're called SO officers, quick response officers. So they had guns in the car, and they were the teams that were sent to anywhere that had a problem with firearms. A good little job, really. You know, they're a good little crew, but I inquired about joining them, leaving the Marines and joining them, and I was told categorically, not with your training. You can't go become a copper with a gun. They just no. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Just, no. Which is, I get that, because that's not what police are meant to be.
Do you know what?
I agree with it. Now they're recruiting them straight into those from the forces, straight into those. So Stasi, Nazis, whatever you want to call it, they're doing it in front of your face. The police force is no longer the police force. It's London, a powerful force, politically led, and that's it.
They are honestly, they have the police force. You're basically referring to that I witnessed in London. I'm disgusted. With the way that they treated people. And I was chatting.
Do they know? Are they brainwashed?
Oh, do I know, or do they know?
Difference.
Yeah.
No. There's a difference between somebody carrying out their orders knowing that it's wrong. Yeah. But a lot of these people don't know it's wrong.
Well, this is the point. This is what I've said to a lot of coppers. A lot of constables. Again, I'm refused to use the words officers, because officers, believe it or not, we're working in a corporate world and we work under the rule of, or the law of the sea, unless you're dealing with common law, which is about the constables deal with. So I've said to them, you are liable. You decide whether or not the law is being broken, and only you, nobody else. It doesn't matter if your chief constable tells you to arrest me. If you disagree with it, you do not need. It is up to you to arrest me. And you don't have to do it.
But having been in this institution, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And let's say I stayed in, and then I got an order to do something that I didn't think was morally correct or was against the law. It takes a hell of a person to turn around and go to his boss. Listen, boss, this is bollocks. You know it's bollocks. I know it's bollocks. Right? Now, if that person then becomes tainted, they get rid of them very quickly. They're gone.
When I worked in NHS, the director who was what do you call it? Like a temp, not temp, but what's the other word?
The director of NHS.
Yeah, it was a director in our
I think it's spelled C.
Careful.
I think, I'm not sure.
Right, but anyway, so he literally, I was drawing up for these papers, or he showed me some papers because I need you to sign them. I said, I'm not signing them. And he was like, I just need you to sign them. And he needed me to sign that to get the clarification or the justification to do. And I said, no. When I put my signature on something, that's me endorsing it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I won't do it. I wasn't allowed to work for 6 months. I sat at my desk. The only thing I had to do was stay awake and play golf. And I've got people. And
you can go. My mum had care homes in North Wales years ago, and they were taking people out of long-term mental health care, releasing them into the community. Well, sort of like a care home with like 24-hour care for these people to hopefully release them into the community. They've been in, locked up 40 years ago because they got pregnant or something. Yeah, got lost in the system. Now, I had my sort of adopted mum, because my mum was like Attila the Hun. I found another mother, right? She was working as a psychologist in the National Health Service, and she was telling me years ago about the red tape, and I was aghast then. it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare 20 years ago. I don't know what it's like now. It was a nightmare then. She couldn't breathe. She left the National Health Service to work for my mother, which is probably a mistake because she was like a tin in the hun. But she was just lost of what to do. But she had, in the end, she went back to it, even knowing what it was, because that's what they know, right? And that's where the money is, and you've got to eat.
Yeah.
So and you just keep your mouth shut, because if you open your mouth, you're the one bad apple, as they see it in the barrel. They get rid of you straight away. Well, so whether that's using sex or your past or your non-past. I mean, I think for a politician to have no past at all and to have done nothing wrong should never be in charge of us, because they're living in a different world than us.
Everybody's done something wrong.
Absolutely, and we should accept that things go wrong, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure where you've been and how you've got to where you are, you've made a lot of mistakes along the way. Making mistakes is all part of life, and we all do it. The point is, if they've got a squeaky clean, back catalogue, shall we say, it's because it's been wiped.
Absolutely, yeah.
Exactly. What are they protecting is the question.
When we, because we're all sort of the same. So we had the first crypto that I was involved in, like founded with a guy called Steve, was a travel cryptocurrency, right? And we did really well. They've done great things with it. And then they start Googling the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, right? Now, when you Google me, I've got one bad thing that comes up, and it was a dispute between some Danish people and some passports in one of my travel offices. Fine, okay.
Wasn't you crossing the road then? Wasn't it? No, that's a great video. I saw that.
So I've got a little bit of bad press, but I'm not going to go into too much detail. But other people had much more press than I did. So we went to a company and said, "Look, we don't want this coming up. We want to hide it, And you can't. No. Unless you control the system, you can't change what's come up. And
to have something removed from the net, is literally you have to be. What
people don't realize is how controlled that is. We think that we're in control. It's so controlled, it's sickening, right? It's sickening, because people think they're playing with the free market. If you go and buy stocks and shares and you don't know a CEO, you might as well just go to the gambling table. You got more chance and roll the dice. But if you know the CEO and they've invented a new chip and you've heard on the back burner about that, of course you're coming in for $1 million on that stock, right? Now that's being done. Look, America is just like what's happening in America it's beyond belief. Nancy Pelosi flew to Taiwan to antagonize the Chinese. That's a good idea. But took her son with her that's got the deal with all the new chips that are coming out of Taiwan. He was on the plane.
Oh, what a surprise. There you go.
On the plane. Right. So we're everyone's about sort of Hunter and Joe and all that. They're doing that in front of you. Her husband is the #1 trader in the world. Right? In the world. But she never ever discusses what goes on in Parliament with him. Yeah. It's like they've got an app now where you just follow their trades.
Oh, okay, that's clever.
Yeah,
that's
got an app. You can get an app now. It's not on Apple, but you get an app now that just follows their trades, because obviously it's insider trading. Yeah.
Oh, right? I've said to people, do you know why the golf courses are so expensive to join? I mean, the really expensive ones, and they go, no. I said, because that's where all the trades really happen.
It's true.
Exactly. And they're like, nah, shut up. I'm like. The stuff I throw at people, honestly, blindsides.
No, the golf's a really good example, because in Asia, what like a golf course, the main cost of after you bought the land is the running of it, the greens, the all the things that need to be done. It's heavy maintenance. Well, in Asia, comparatively, labour's cheaper. Yeah, and land further out where they build the golf courses is cheaper. The golf's not cheap. It's more. It's you won't get around here for less than $150 to $300 around here.
Yeah, well.
In Vietnam, the poor country, right? So they've got all the same little groups and cliques.
It's a hell of a lot for a small
country.
Well,
if you're playing golf, you're somebody, right? So you're playing golf. Yeah. You're taking out some of the CEO on the golf course for you or whatever. Yeah. That's where the business is done, right? That's where it's always been done.
Yeah, see,
right?
They get to walk miles and just chat and talk about how their next line of attack is. That's what it's all about. It's just.
And if you're not, I mean, what makes a business really successful, a really successful one, is if you're getting government money.
You're opening up another can of worms now. Why would you do that?
It's like my mum was getting paid off the government. She didn't have to go out and sell the product. She had the product. They came to her. The government paid. right? Very lucrative. Thank you very much, right?
Government
Government are paying for it. If you got tech contracts with government, incredibly lucrative. Car contracts. I mean, Tesla lose $15,000 every time they release a car. That's what it loses. Every time they sell a car, they lose $15,000.
How comes?
Well, it's all subsidized by the Americans, governments.
Tesla.
Google have just all these Tesla, Google, Tesla, Google, Facebook, billions on contracts every year, trillions almost in the last 10 years. Into these systems. So they're not free systems. That's why if anybody can look you in the eye and tell you that like Twitter isn't leaning left and can look you in the eye, they're just off that. They've been smoking all sorts, haven't they? You can see the narratives that they push. And my worry is they've got into the school councils, they've got into the local councils, they've got into everything. Now in China, the Chinese said they don't care about elections. As long as they can nominate who goes up for election, they don't give a shit about the election. And we're doing it in the UK right now. They've got rid of old crazy Boris, whatever he's done wrong. I don't know what he's done wrong. Like him or love him, whatever he is. He's gone. We've got the biggest financial crisis that's ever coming, and they're all going up to Scotland today, I think, in Perth, talking about evolution. They should be sat down at a table addressing what's coming. Yeah? There's nothing to do with the people anymore. There's no.
They've already chatted about what's coming. I'm sorry, but the chapters have already been written, and we're just following the dialogue of the story.
I mean, why would you want to be a politician? What an awful job, right? Terrible job.
No, I wouldn't.
No. If you're not in charge of what's being said, you're being told what to say, right? That the public hate that
because they get a certain level of luxury. There is people out there who don't care about.
I don't think it's a level of luxury. I do think people get off the power, and I do think there's some generally demonic people out there.
Oh well, yeah, but it's all part of the chain. You know, like me, I go in, I don't cause mayhem. I just go in and I tell the truth. That's what causes the mayhem, and it's quite simple. But these people,
that's when you know you're in a tyranny, because if your only crime is telling the truth, then you're already. We are incredibly free here. I'm sure there's problems with the Vietnamese system. They back their families. They love their country. They've got an under-23 football team here that they love, right? That do really well.
Yeah.
And they were in I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. They were in the Asian Cup final, right? So in this Asian Cup, the whole place, flags everywhere, motorbikes, tooting horns, like you do in Italy, right? It's all going crazy. And down in Saigon, there was a teacher, so they have a lot of English teachers come here, right? Sat at this bar innocuously, didn't know it, but there was like a general sitting nearby, in the forces, listening to this guy speak, and this guy is slagging Vietnam off, right? It's fucking communist. They look at these people, stupid idiots, waving the flags, country haters, the young people that hate countries. He's heard this. The guy was gone 2 days later. Now there was uproar. Oh, that's wrong. I was like, well, if you want to live in this country, he lives by the rules, right? If you don't like it, then leave. If you're going to slag off the country
in the team, though,
leave. Get out.
The point of free speech is you should be able to say what you say without being removed, so to speak.
Well, I love the idea of free speech, but it's utopia because, like, for instance, if you watch something like Fox News that go on about free speech all the time, and the narrative is good, but they're not going to give you free speech. Their lot, when they get in, they're not going to give you that. Right. Because then, there's nobody giving it you. So the only document that actually gives you rights is the Magna Carta. And the new Magna Carta, to me, is the most worrying thing I've ever heard.
Did you look it up?
No, I didn't, because I've got nothing going on in my head. I'm busy now.
Yeah. I'll scare you, honestly. They want to bring in somebody for 10 years. They're elected in not by the people. They're elected in 10 years, elected by certain secret
corporations.
And then they come. It's what they do in the EU anyway. So to be fair,
well, no, the EU. I mean, they try and like Farage, love or hate him. I wish he'd step up to the mark a bit more. But nevertheless, when it came to the European Union, he stood his ground for 17 years, and he got us out of it. But he stopped then, and he knew they weren't going to implement it. They haven't changed anything really. No, they've just carried on, right? They've just pretended to.
Yeah, the laws are still the same, but they've just.
Because he knew that's as far as he could take it. If he then stepped into the establishment and took on the establishment in the UK, they already decided that years ago this was decided a long time ago. Centralized power, people can't change the laws, absolute dictatorship, and if they don't like it, then they can create their own black markets unless we control the money, and then we control the food supply. Then we have total control. So what's coming, whether that's in the next year or maybe it takes 20 years to implement, it's definitely coming. And if you can't see that, you should do some research for sure.
Oh, right. This takes me. Let me just go left field a little bit about cryptocurrencies because we're up to 2.5 hours. So right, let's get this right. Cryptocurrency is coming, isn't it? It's here. It's not something that is a fad. It's there.
No, the Chinese have said they're building the central bank digital currency already. They're doing it. They banned all of the crypto. They're building their own now. The Chinese, it's called central bank digital currency, which means basically that the Bank of England will be in charge of the pound, or whatever they call it, the one world currency. They'll be in charge of that from a central location, which means they can print as much as they want when they want. It hasn't changed anything other than the fact it reports back perfectly to what you're doing.
Exactly, and spending your money on and who you're collaborating with. So, but the big thing is, right, at the moment, now I'm really worried. Again, we've got a 3-hour window thing, so we're coming up. I want to get this out there. As I've explained to a lot of people, currently crypto, Bitcoin, Mars coin, whatever, is actually controlled by an individual or individuals, correct?
Right.
Oh,
well,
look
now
at that.
I've been in it a long time, and I've looked at the whole systems and how it works. There are certain cryptos that are backed by very powerful people, right?
Yeah, but still by powerful people.
Now, Bitcoin, without getting too technical, is decentralized. It's not run by anybody. There's nowhere to go and turn it off.
Is there not?
Well, of course, there's ways of turning it off, but officially, there's no way to turn it off. There's no CEO, there's no CTO, there's no white paper business plan. There's none of that going on, right? It's decentralized. So they can obviously turn it off, but they can't stop it moving. They can't stop it changing. So the idea of crypto was to take, we've got all these sayings in our life that we ignore. Money is only worth the paper it's printed on. We were told that all along, and we ignore it. Yeah. You want to be happy for the rest of your life. Never make a pretty woman your wife. We get told lots of things we ignore, right?
Okay. Never heard that one. Okay.
Well, that's a song. Remember that song? If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. Never heard that one?
No, never.
But the point is, lots of things we're told we sort of ignore. So money is just paper. That's just printed. So, but I get my money off my boss. People just can't translate away from that. Crypto can really do lots of good things.
Oh, I don't dispute that fact.
Really, really do lots of good things. But a lot of people that are in crypto, the high-end ones that are billionaires, some of them could be trillionaires in the next 5 years, despite what the crash is, they're corrupted already.
But the point is that you've got to be careful what you buy your crypto, because there is scams at the moment. I've heard of scams where they're called.
I think 99% of them are scams.
Or something, crypto fields,
or
farms or whatever, and people are investing thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. A young lady who I was chatting to, I told her, if it sounds too good to be true, usually it is. Now, I looked into all the stuff for her, and I said, if you're going to put your money in this crypto field or whatever you want to freaking call it, you must be prepared to lose it, because it can be turned off or shut down at any point. So just be careful. That girl lost $2,000. Her mum lost $8,000.
Oh, I mean, I've lost on markets myself. I think last year I had a good year, made about 6 million on the markets myself, right? But on this year, I've lost 3 million on the markets, right? So it's very, it's a gamble, right? It's a gamble.
Just a number, isn't it?
The thing is, I have insider knowledge, right? Obviously, and I know other CEOs are doing crypto, so I know ones that are coming up and we know which ones to buy into, right? So in effect, I'm insider trading, aren't I? I'm insider trading.
Yeah.
Because there's no legislation on it. You can't help yourself, because without legislation, you do that. Now, there is legislation, let's say, on insider trading in the States. It's being done in front of your face by the Speaker of the House and her husband, right? And not a word was, her son flew into Taiwan to do the deal with the chips. Like when she did that, apparently went to do the unity for Taiwan. Just took her son with her, who then went to the corporate side of it and did all the deal with the chips with all the stock that her husband bought.
Yeah.
Prior to all this going on. So it's like, we're stupid. We're not that stupid, right? And I get feather in your nest. And that's why the one world order won't work, because whoever's in charge of it, no matter how good they are, no matter how pure the thoughts they are, right, they become insular in their ivory tower, and then they start to dictate down, like our politicians do now to us. They dictate down, and that's when it breaks.
I think the only way it can be done is by, for instance, a person becoming an MP only for one term.
Yes,
like a
no,
PM.
I think independence,
because that goes for councillors as well. You get one term.
Yeah. I mean, even more so, even more important for councillors, because you get one term, possibly two if you're some sort of brilliant. Just one,
or even three. Then they can have 3 terms. It doesn't matter about, as long as there's a fixed amount. But like, you can only be prime minister 3 times. You know what I mean? There has to be a limit. But these people are making a career out of it.
50 years.
And I mean, they do all right financially. And in that time, they build up all their links. They build up. And I think that's the way to destabilize it. And what I'm saying, an all-over government doesn't scare me. A world order in that sense of, hang on a sec, your sector you look after, you go there and, in Star Wars and, Phantom of the Menace, and she's like, councillors, rah, and they're all like there flying around. That's how I see it. That's how I see our life becoming. But what I'm worried about is when that cloak comes off. Dun, 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 dun,
because the people that want absolute power.
Stormtroopers are our police. Our stormtroopers are our army.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think of it this way. If you had $100 million in the bank, right? Let's say you had $100 million in the bank.
You can put it in my bank.
That's enough, right? That's enough. You don't need to acquire any more money than $100 million, right? So what are you acquiring after that? So the people that they come in the system, they make the money, they come out, they retire, they buy the camper home or the yacht or whatever they do, their place in Spain. They're homeless. They're not power driven.
No,
we reward psychos.
Yeah,
we reward. We have got a whole system set up with the less you pay people, the harder you are with them, the more you control them, the more you make, the more power you have.
Then you must be
so you can't have a one world. You can only have localized, in my opinion, if you like, elections that work, because each area has its own idiosyncrasies. One of the great mistakes I made when I was in Asia was I thought Thailand would be the same as Indonesia, would be the same as Vietnam. They are separate countries with different systems, and each one has different ways of running it. Okay, whether you agree with it, you don't. It's been proven to work over thousands of years. Whether you agree with Saddam Hussein the way he ran Iraq or not, the fact of the matter is he did a better job than us, didn't he? That's a fact, right?
Well,
whether you like it or you don't. So the more localized it is, the more better it is for the people. I think.
Didn't he change his financial currency to the yen? Isn't that what
he was changing to the gold standard on the it's like Gaddafi. They all were changing to the gold standard, which is what DeFi is. DeFi is the gold standard, right? I'll be shot soon. They're all changing to the gold standard, not using the petrodollar. Oh no. Libya, Gaddafi, all these. God, and I pray to God that we don't go into Persia or Iran. If you look at Iran on the television, they're baby killers, right? On the media.
Oh,
have you been to Iran?
No, I haven't been to Iran. No.
Well, until recently, it was a wonderful country, very, just a beautiful country, very well run, until the Brits got involved, right? Until they started wanting to use their own currency again. Iran, Iraq, all these countries just want to run their own currency. That's all, and they all want to go back to the gold standard, and of course, can't have that. So
the gold standard is everything.
We've got a load of psychopaths in charge of us. That's the problem.
This is the point. Like I'm saying about the crypto, who's controlling it? There is
officially nobody. But what controls crypto is having enough money to buy into a crypto and move that price.
Yeah.
So everybody sees green. They should buy the red, but they see the green, and they buy the green. Yeah, and then it becomes self-fulfilling. Yeah, so it goes up and up and up and up and up. Right. That's how crypto works. Now, you can have a really good crypto. You go into the market because you haven't got like the 100 million, 200 million, 400 million, $1 billion to move the market. You've got to build it. You got to do your press. You've got to go out to the people, and it takes years. So if a crypto has been around for 4 years, as a general rule, investing in that crypto, do your homework, is not a bad thing. If it launched last week with the prophecy of $1 million for every dollar you put in, no, right? Because What is crypto? It's a technology launch, isn't it? It's a new tech
All right.
company.
So what will be a crypto? What we're 2 hours 40 minutes into this interview. So what would you say? Let's give the dog a bone, so to speak. What would be a crypto you would invest in?
Today, at the moment, the only money I'd put into a crypto would be Ethereum and Bitcoin at the moment.
Okay, Ethereum.
Because they are the ones with the biggest communities. They're going to be the hardest to shut down, so they are the safest. They're not the best idea. They're very antiquated. They're very old, and technology moves on. But they are very stable. When you've got a new technology company, let's say I was Apple. I'm not Apple. Years ago, and I just started in the basement with all my ideas. You can buy into the utopia of that, but most of those companies never come to anything.
Right.
They've got a higher failure rate than restaurants.
Okay.
So what you've got to do is if you're going to buy into a new one, you don't put all your money into one. You put into 100 of them. Yeah.
Right.
So you put $1,000, let's say, into 100 of them if you want to spread your bets. Only one's going to make it. Okay. But what a lot of people do, they find a crypto they really like. They overcommit to that, right? And like any new business, it'll rock and roll for a while. It'll go down, go up. They panic, it goes down, and they all lose the money.
Okay.
Right? You got to look at it long term. You have to look long term with crypto, and you have to see if there's a product with it. Is there a product with that crypto? DeFi's got a product with it, right? DeFi for you has a product.
What comes with Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is only a store of wealth, right?
It's only a sign of wealth, so it has no asset.
It's a store of wealth, but it's being used by a lot of people. So if you've got a lot of money and you want to store your wealth, whether that's in a bank, you actually pay for that now, or whether you're buying gold, you got to pay to vault it. It's quite hard to store wealth, right? And it's nice to think you can store wealth without being seen, because lots of people like to do that, right? So that was the idea of it. So it's a store of wealth. Ethereum has lots of different functions on that chain. There's all sorts out there, but what it is, why I got involved with it is, it would be nice to think that we have a little bit of control over financial systems. And I think DeFi for you, as utopic as the idea is, if I had the backing of CNN and the BBC, it'd be massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be huge. I haven't got those marketing budgets, so we have to do things like road shows, talk to community, to build it up, because anybody with a brain should have their money in gold now, not in fiat.
Agreed. Gold is the
because when the run comes on the bank, when the run comes and people go, oh, they panic a bit, and you get more than sort of 5 or 6% of the bank taking their money out in one day, that's it. Account's closed.
Yeah,
because if you read the terms and conditions on the bank, it says clearly when you deposit the money in that bank, it belongs to the bank, not you.
Okay.
That's why they can close your account. They can block your account. It belongs to the. You have to prove. That's why. No, most people don't, because it's not a rule that comes around. But if you remember 2008, Rock, what was it called? Hard Rock. What was the name of that?
Northern Rock.
The bank. Northern Rock. When that first started to go, and then the politicians Gordon Brown jumped in and said, "We're going to save this bank." People were like, "Well, what do you want to save the bank for?" Well, if you don't save the bank, all the savings are gone. Now in China, they've got a massive problem, because now people have stopped paying the mortgages on properties that are meant to be built that haven't been built. So the whole system's fell down. The Chinese system's about to go.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's about to topple. Now, whether Chinese go first or the American goes first, at what point this goes, crypto's either going to become very important because people are going to realize just how ridiculous the fiat money is, or they're going to turn us off. And I don't know which one it's going to be.
No, I think crypto's here to stay. Without a doubt, whether or not, it depends on what, like I'm saying, you've got your Bitcoin, like saying Ethereum, you've got obviously what you're doing. I honestly, it will be what we will have, and it will be a social credit system where if you
that's coming in for sure. What I'm trying to say is
that's what crypto is.
Crypto's it's cryptography. It's coding everything that you do into a language you can't understand, but they can read a drop of a hat, basically. Yeah. So whatever you've done, you donate to, I don't know, Oxfam, or you've spent $200 in a happy massage place in Thailand, or whatever you've done. Yeah. It's just there. It's all there to be seen. It's just laid out for you.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that they'll be able to turn off the functionality. So people like me, if I'm deemed as not helping the narrative, I will be turned off. I will be made.
people of our age, the 50s, right, that came up through a different
Hey,
system.
I'm 48, cheeky bugger.
Not you, me, 50 odd. We've seen one system, we're seeing another system, so we can make a judgment on which way is best to live. If you're 18, we get a lot of young people in tech working for us, right?
Yeah.
Now, we use some UK tech. They are so indoctrinated by the universities. It's almost hard to talk to them. They are triggered. They want safe places. They want this. They want that. Can't afford to employ them.
Ah, right.
Just
Okay.
can't. They're ruined. These kids have been ruined. They're living in a wonderful country, right? That for thousands of years has not been perfect, but it's a great place to grow, or used to be a great place to grow up in the UK. They're incredibly privileged, but they really genuinely think they're living through World War III at the moment.
Oh, really?
They're scared of climate change. You can't say this in front of them or that in front of them. You can't. They'd literally fall apart. Yeah. I don't agree with bullying, but bullying, when you get bullied, you either toughen yourself up or you become a victim, right? Yeah. So at a young age, you decide I'm better off just fighting this and getting a bloody nose and getting through this than hiding in my bedroom for the next 10 years. Yeah. So there's two types of people: those that want to fight it naturally, and those that just don't want to fight it for all sorts of reasons. And lots of those reasons are good reasons: family, kids, mortgage, whatever it is. Because if you say to your average guy that's reporting in the Washington Post that if you don't put what I tell you to put, I'm going to take away your pension, they're going to put it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So all the narrative that we're getting is just all the mainstream narrative is not mainstream at all. Because when you speak to 90% of people I speak to think exactly like I do, not about crypto, I'm on about the whole taking over of everything. Everybody knows, a lot of people know what's going on that I speak to, but what do you do about it?
That's it. Vote independent people into positions.
No, that's good. And if the whole of the UK in one go did that, and those independents exposed the corporations were paying them directly or in different ways to do what they want, which is what's happening.
It would be too much for them to organise. It would cost them so much to infiltrate. And also, if somebody's independent, the chances are they can't be bought because they haven't got to worry about somebody. Again, I use that kind of liberally. People can be. Don't get me wrong. Somebody, I'll give you 50 grand when you finally, finish up in a year's time. It'll be a nice little house in the country. I am sure there is people who will do it, but you got to get round. How many was it? 500 MPs, whatever it is. You've got to get through all of those. And then you'll come up against somebody like me who'll go, I've just had an interested meeting with such and such who offered me a house if I okayed the idea of whatever. And it's like the turnstiles at the Commons logs down who went through and what you voted. It's like majority of the Tories voted against giving free school meals away in the summer holidays during COVID.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it?
But I remember that.
Voted categorically to bring in mandates for kids for the jab.
Oh,
like, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Can't have school dinners, but you can have a jab. No, yeah. I tell you, I've got to get this out of the way. I tell you why I lost faith in the COVID sort of system. I've been out in Asia a long time. You got red fever, you got dengue fever. There's all sorts of things you can catch. If you catch dengue a couple of times, you die. There's no injection for it. It kills. Right. It kills so much more many people than COVID kill. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah. In Asia, never hear about it, right?
Yeah.
Dengue fever. What's that?
Fever, yeah.
So you got but it kill you. Millions die of dengue fever. And in Africa, millions die. They can't cure it. It's a virus. If you remember what we were told about viruses years ago, and we were told that the common cold and flu, you can't cure a virus. Nobody's ever found a cure for a virus. You can take a paracetamol or a hot toddy for your cold, but we were told for years it can't be cured. Now we're told it can be cured, but it's a lie. So what's in it? What's in the jab? I don't know enough about it. But there's something in there that they want us to have desperately.
I told you. And honestly, here's another thing to look into. Yeah. What parasite freezes at minus 80?
I'm hoping it's.
I say freezes. What's the thing where humans in the stasis of
hibernate?
Not hibernation. What's the other one? Well, it's a kind of hibernation, isn't it? What do they call it? I had this all down 2 years ago. I was like, I'll just row this all out. It's like I was down a pub chatting to a couple people, and the stuff I try and remember from all the stuff I've learned from It's like they go, why can't you remember? Can't be that. It's like, do you know how much I cram into this little brain of mine? I have to, honestly. I swear there is a storage that is like, just store it, compacted everything into access it. In 3 weeks' time, it'll finally come to my brain because it's like accessing B023336. Boom, there we go. Boom. It is insane. But parasites, what's an interesting one is in these injections, if you look at Pfizer, there is hibernation. I still can't remember the word. But it has to be frozen at the same temperature that Pfizer had for their drugs, because they had to deep store all their Pfizer vaccines. If you think that they were able to produce billions as quick as they could, no, they mean they had to get it out of deep storage.
Well, the fact that they painted it before it was actually released in Wuhan was a bit of a giveaway, right? Just as I say to anybody that thinks we're nuts, and probably are a bit nuts, just do one thing after this lunacy thing. Have a look at fiat money and what it actually is. Yeah, have a look at how it's explained. Have a look at why crypto could be also a force for good, but also have a look at Agenda 21. Just Google it and read it. Signed up by 192 countries years ago. It's scary. It's the white paper for what's happening now. But I don't think it's over for us. I mean, you could say that we've gone too far now, and the only way there's going to be a revolution is if it actually gets bloody. That's the worry now, right?
For me, yeah.
Right? That's the worry. It's looking highly likely. As crazy as that sounded 5 years ago.
I reckon it's going to happen.
You know, they've divided us in the UK. They divided people all over the world. Black, white, tall, thin, whatever. Everyone's in their own group, right? So they've divided us. But the only way we can actually reunite is to fight. Oh, awful thing to say. But there is another way. Now, this is really interesting because we are a collective. We are actually more connected than people think we are. And I'm not going to go down the new age thing here. Proven fact. They did an experiment in Australia where they showed people a picture with lots of different faces in. Okay. And they asked them, all controlled environment. They asked them to find how many faces they could see in all these other faces. And it was between 2 and 4 faces. And they tested about 10,000 people, right? Right. They never let that test go out anywhere. So nobody else knew about it. They did the same test in the UK months later, and they found that the average people got between 4 and 6 faces. So there is a collective connection we have that we don't know about. We're passing information on. Nothing's been proved beyond doubt yet. New age, whatever you call it, cosmos. We are a lot more connected than we think. And what's happening now is the only way they can get their agenda over is by disconnecting us. By getting us into our groups. Because we are connected. If you see somebody break their leg in an MMA fight, if you kick somebody, you don't go, you go, oh God, turn that off. Yeah. Ooh, I can't watch that, because it affects us. We are generally quite nice people, but the people that are in charge of us aren't. Not all of them, but a lot aren't.
No.
Really not. I mean, the reason I love Vietnam is, we're going to sort of close off here, won't go too much. It's because I just feel like the people have got a genuine love for each other. They do back each other up. Their government, I'm sure, isn't perfect, but they do look after the people. And it's just, it feels like there's family and there's a life going on. Whereas I look at the UK and I'm just like, God, what are they doing? What a wonderful country that was, I
never thought we'd be in the scenario that we're in. That's all I'm.
No, and that's how they get it. That's how they get over. It's so hard to believe.
It is. Look, Charlie, it has been amazing talking to you for the last 3 hours. It again, hats off, mate, my friend. And I'm sure at some point we'll come back to this and we'll catch up. Maybe jump in some of the other comms that I'll be putting out. There were some of the other shows, but how far away is Vietnam?
Well, it's 12 hours from where you are on a plane, basically. So it's 6,000. It's a day's travel away. Yeah. It's a long way. But I'll say this on the show now. If you come to Vietnam, we will roll out the red carpet for you.
Oh, what, for me or anybody?
No, you. We'll go down the beer hoy. I'll buy you a barrel of beer. It's $8 here. You can buy a barrel
of beer.
$8. $8 for a barrel delivered with a keg on it.
Buy it myself, $8. I'll be like, God,
look at the state of Steve.
In the UK, it's about 150 quid.
You're more than welcome. I'm living in a lovely country. I hope that the UK does something about it. But if not, and we've got to go to the next level. I'm in.
Mate, do you know what? I like I said, it's going to get dark. It's going to get horrible, and there's going to be civil unrest unless I can't think of a way of stopping it at the moment. But I'm trying my best, and that's enlightening people, not allowing them to do what they're doing. So, but once again, Charlie, it's been amazing, and we'll obviously keep chatting on our group chats and and our messages and other people that we know. And anything from DeFi, anything you want to say?
Well, what I've tried to do is, as crazy as I might sound, is take it back to a situation where your money's safe. Have a look at it. You can consolidate for the crash whenever it comes, but it's coming. So any savings you have got, you can at least hold on. There are ways of helping other people out if you have got more money. So have a look at it. Have a look around it. It's not just buy and sell a crypto. And thank you for the time. And if anybody's going to have a look and want to speak to me, there's a chat box on there. You can come and speak to me personally, and I'll talk about it because I haven't got a huge marketing budget. So we've got to go the old school and speak to people.
That's not a bad thing. Get to know people. That's what I say. There you go, people. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know in the comments. Do say like and check out DeFi. I mean, you're on Twitter, Instagram.
I'm one of the few tech CEOs that's on Facebook because a lot of them think they're all secret on Signal or on WhatsApp. It's not. So you might as well just be public. So I'm on Facebook. You find me, Adam Christopher Chaplin, and you can come on there. And if you want to talk to me, don't ask me about where does crypto start, but I'll talk to you about how it works by all means. That question. And look, it's been a pleasure, and I'd like to speak more. We've covered a multitude of
3 hours
subjects there. I'd just like to say I haven't lost faith in humanity. Come on, UK. Yeah? Come on.
Worldwide.
It's time. Step up.
Worldwide. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later. Ta-ta for now.
Bye-bye.